Welcome to the righteous sphere. We separate the gray areas over here. We don't do the lying like those other places. No. We don't do no fucking lying over here. You're gonna get the truth.
When a woman doesn't want to change or grow up or grow out of her toxic ways, she will actually leave a man of value. She'll actually leave a man that has standards and go to a man of lesser value. She will leave you for a man that she knows will accept her lifestyle no matter what she's doing. She'll leave you for a man that she knows that she can control and manipulate. A man that has no standards and a man that's going to be all about her just because he's sprung off of her physical looks. There are some Jezebelic women out there that will destroy relationships with good men because they cannot handle the standards that that man is setting, and they cannot handle a man that stands on principles. And then she'll say things like, oh, this is just who I am and you trying to change me. You steady trying to change me. This is just who I am. But really, her saying this is just a cop-out because she's not ready to mature. She's not ready to grow up and get rid of her toxic ways. Never let a woman convince you, fellas, that you are not enough, because it's not even that. It's just the fact that she needs a weaker man that'll accept her toxicity.
Let me tell you something. We about to go stupid. 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 This shit we be on stupid. This shit I'm blowing on stupid fruity. If it ain't D, she right Gucci stupid. I'm Louis stupid. All about my check and I go stupid.
Lord, they blood out like he Putin. Nigga thugged out like he Putin. Ain't a coot, nigga can't scoop me. I hear the hate loud, call it rootin'. Dodo bird, a real extra bitch. Speeding around in a dumb whip. Push start, banana split. Dior bag, hold an extra clip. Cuff a rap nigga, extra drip. Then stack with him, extra flips. Floor the water, real loony bitch. Purse Gucci, no Dooney bitch. Pussy talk, no rumor-ish. On the whole head like a tumor sick. Shots fired, I don't miss. I'm the definition of a real bitch.
We on stupid. This shit I'm blowing on stupid fruity. If it ain't D, she right Gucci stupid. I'm Louis stupid. All about my check and I go stupid. I'm in a two-seat on my cocktail note. Hangovers on me. We gon' try buy your new phone. Will we in the Range Rover? No heat. Take out Mac, can't wait next year. Roll that out, I'ma cover my ear. I'm too hot, so don't come near. If it ain't on me right here. I got an ounce pride, got pills on my drive license. We're broke way too long, main reason all of be spinning. Took it out last year, now I'm back up. Both on your main, now she stuck. I don't do favors and don't trust luck. I'm pulling up if it's by the bug. This shit we be on stupid. This shit I'm blowing on stupid fruity. If it ain't D, she right Gucci stupid. I'm Louis stupid. All about my check and I go stupid.
And starting over be 5 times.
Yeah.
So you can start off with the same thing and say, you know what, I'm gonna work out. Go work out, be sore for 2 weeks, stop.
Yep.
Then you're like, you know what, I got away from working out. You know what, I'm gonna get back on it. When you gonna get back on it? Well, I'm gonna start Monday. I'm gonna start my week fresh.
Yeah.
That shit is draining. You start and then you do it. You do the same thing all over again. So it's like you got a purpose, but then you're not really serious about your purpose because you ain't serious about yourself.
Well, I'm going to tell you this, Frank. When there is no purpose, there's no real reasoning for continuing these behaviors. After you get used to something, after you become comfortable, the value of that thing goes down, right? And this is I'm speaking on a psychological level, a surface of just thinking about it, right? As I do something more and more and more, and it becomes something that, oh, this is just something I do, right? If you don't have it tied to a bigger purpose, eventually you will be less motivated, or you'll do it on autopilot, or you'll get to a point where it's like, it doesn't matter if I miss today or if I don't do it for like a week. And this is why a lot of people get into a good habit at first and then they lose it. And so what we're talking about right now is self-care habits. So we're talking about staying on top of your diet, staying on top of exercise. Also, I didn't hear anybody mention, or maybe you did and I missed it, stress management. Staying on top of having tools, routines, things that have to do with, I do this to manage my stress. And then there is also having a purpose, because you can't say I'm caring for self if you don't have reasons why it's important to care for myself. We see it every day in children. If you're raising children, you see often where you tell them to do something that is self-care, and they're annoyed with doing it because they don't understand the purpose of doing it. Do y'all understand what I'm saying?
Yep, that's facts, Dorsey. My kids was like, they were younger when I was teaching them the habits, but now they're older and I don't have to tell them, especially my 15-year-old, he has a purpose on why he want to keep his hair done, why he goes to the gym, why he wants to do certain things.
Yep.
And if you ask him, he can run it down to you, because his purpose is bigger than just him waking up every morning being 15 years old.
But when
I see it in my child.
When you, and I love that you said that, because when you don't give them reasons, they will tell you, like, I don't know why I got to do that. And it ain't even from a disrespectful space. It's just them not understanding. And so it holds no real value. Do y'all understand what I'm explaining? Because it's important. And when we talk about taking care of yourself, it's a lot of y'all, you can say, I take care of myself, but you're doing the surface level things that allow you to exist in survival. And then anything past that, that gets deeper, really caring for your psyche or your mental health, really looking at changing my diet or exercise, and changing enough to where it becomes a new habitual behavior to do right by my body, right? Creating moments where I meditate or do yoga or disengage or disconnect from the internet, from other people, from family, so that I can really sort and figure myself out, right? You don't have reasons for doing this. You won't keep up with this shit. You will not keep up with this. Who can relate to what I'm explaining? Because it's important that you genuinely understand it for what it is.
Well, yeah, I was gonna say, I used to jump on a book club before, but it's like when you start a job and they don't really train you on everything. And so you go through the job like making mistakes. And it's not until you fuck up that you realize like the purpose of why you got to cross your I's and dot your T's. And so you start to do it as you go along.
Yep.
It's like the same thing in life. If you keep missing your workouts, you're going to be fat or you're going to be out of shape. If you keep not doing your self-care, you're going to be stressed.
Yep.
So just keeping those small things intact for the bigger picture.
Yep. And then somebody said environment, right? I want one of y'all to elaborate. When we talk about environment playing a role in you being able to take care of yourself, what do you understand about that? Because I know a lot about that. I know a lot in regards to family and outside influences and the people that you talk to and text the most, even the people you follow on social media, the stuff you watch on YouTube, Instagram, Facebook. All of these things play a role in how you care for yourself. What do y'all understand about that?
It takes up a lot of time.
But outside of Frank, outside of the time it takes up, tell me, because you're raising a son, what would you tell him if he was to say, well, what is what I watch on Instagram or Facebook, Daddy, or YouTube or TikTok? What that got to do with me taking care of myself?
It's mental.
It shifts your mind. It definitely takes you away from just reality. It builds you on the inside, and you're gonna sit on the outside. You won't even think that you're doing that.
Right.
Like it tells you how you want to be treated. Like if you focus on basketball and football and all that stuff right there, you look that up on YouTube, you'll be more interested in that when you're going to school. But if you're looking up stupid stuff like watching people play video games, you really don't give a fuck about school.
Yep. And
it's just gonna show at school. And you don't know you're doing that, but you're gonna know that you don't care.
Right.
Because like whatever the teacher's saying, you ain't gonna pay attention to that. But
right.
soon your friend tap you on your shoulder and talk about this game that they played. Oh yeah, you're gonna be all because you got a lot of information on this particular game, because that's the next best thing in your life.
Yep.
So what I do with Kobe is I make sure he spend at least 15 to 20 minutes so he won't be overly consumed by the things I'm telling him to do, but I'm giving him in repetition throughout the day, even when he get out of school, to spend time with himself. I said, did nobody tell me to do none of this right here? I have to learn this as an adult.
Right.
So I'm trying to learn it, but I'm giving it to you in a different area. So once his emotions and everything like that, I don't feel like doing it, it gives us something to talk about. And now he can learn better, because now he's going to be able to receive what I'm giving him.
So now let me ask you this, and this is a question to Frank, but to everybody. Do you practice what you preach? As we tell these children, don't watch this, don't engage with this. If you spend too much time looking at this, it will affect how you view yourself, how you go about life, how you care for yourself. are y'all practicing what you preach? Are you mindful of what you watch, what you get involved in, how much you spend in regards to your time looking at certain shit? And it's really a question to make you pause and think, what measures are you taking to really hold yourself accountable to this? Because it's easy to chastise a child or to parent from a space of, hey, just like Frank said, here's why you don't need to be doing this. I don't want you to be a follower. Here's what you got to look at. Are you doing this for yourself as an adult? Or are you sitting up watching the bullshit that goes on online and caring more about that than the real shit?
I explain to Cole on the things that I'm telling him to do, but I also talk about myself. I don't leave myself out. I tell him, Daddy got to do a better job too. Because the same thing you doing, Dad is also doing it.
Yep.
Even just being dad. Like, so I know that it's hard for me being that I'm on the road and I'm away. I know it's messing up both of us because we want to be around each other. But we're going to have to operate on the phone a little bit more. Once you get out, I'm going to help you with your homework a little bit more. I'm going to help you read a little bit more. But for me, just like you learning new things, Dad is learning new things too. That's why I'm a part of this book club, because I'm introducing myself to new things. I said, you can do the same thing too, but you don't need your friends with you. But you have to learn something to understand that you have to value yourself and not value your friends. And I see why you do that.
Yeah. And I'm gonna tell you, Frank,
so
as parents, we gotta own it. Like, we really got, and when I'm saying own it, you really gotta own it. Like, you really gotta let your children know, here are areas that I'm improving upon or stuff that I'm working on, because a lot of us, and a lot of y'all gonna relate when I make this statement, a lot of us got older, and in certain areas, we don't respect our parents. I'm gonna say it again. A lot of us got older, and because they were not accountable with a lot of this shit, we lost respect for them. Some of them don't know it because we weren't raised up to show disrespect or be disrespectful or to speak our mind even in a respectful way to elders. But there's a lot of y'all in a room where your mama or your daddy wasn't going to know, your grandma wasn't going to know. You don't respect a lot of shit about them. They don't know this. And we need to talk about this more because it's real. So when you sit up and you raising children and you're not honest, and they can see that you're not, but you think because ain't nobody saying nothing, this is what's going on with most people. Because the child can't speak up and point it out, because the younger family member or the young people in your family or around you don't have that freedom in your presence to talk about what they see is a lie or they see is flawed or fake that you doing, it leaves you to believe you mostly doing good in their eyes, but that's not true, because a lot of y'all know as grown adults, if we start to talk about the elders that raised y'all, you end up in a space where you agree that, nah, I don't respect my auntie. I got an uncle on my daddy's side I don't respect. Hell, my daddy I may not respect in certain areas. My mama with certain things, I don't respect her in these areas. No, I don't care to go off, cuss her out, or even have a conversation about it because I know she's not going to be accountable, but I seen her lie. I seen him cheat. I seen her cheat. I seen them make up this. I seen her tell me things that weren't true while talking about other people saying stuff that wasn't true. I watched the hypocritical behavior. Who can relate?
Me.
Yes, I do.
I hear a lot of y'all.
This is Marilyn. I grew up in the 60s.
Go ahead, Miss Marilyn.
I grew up in the 60s, and I saw a lot, my parents and a lot of the other parents in the neighborhood, especially the women, put up with a lot of abuse. Mm-hmm. And they hang in there mostly because the women didn't have careers. Yep. They couldn't afford to leave. Yep. My mom and dad were in that situation. We left my dad for a whole year, and we were hungry a lot, and we just lived in a rotten neighborhood. Mm-hmm. So they got back together to make it work for our benefit. Right. But it turned me off from wanting to be married, because if that means putting up with all that suffering, stay in that mess. Matter of fact, I avoided having kids. It didn't make sense to me. Yep. And this is the realness, the stuff that, like, when you look back, I'm pretty sure from a space as a child, I don't respect my father for constantly putting his hands on my mother. But then there is a space of not respecting my mother and her decisions because it, like you said, it negatively affected how I viewed life. And then we still had times where we went through poverty. So it was like, you know what I mean? What the fuck?
And I experienced this as a child, not because I deserved this, but this was y'all poor choices. And then when you get older, you realize like there was so much of what they did with parenting that involved them telling you what you needed to do with your life. But if we keeping it real, I don't have much respect for how y'all life looked in the way that y'all raised us. But you know, Miss Marilyn, if you say something like this, you're bound to get your ass popped in the mouth or cussed out, or, you know, you in trouble for just saying what's real. I see, Gina, you put in the, I'm gonna let somebody else speak. I see, Gina, you put in the chat, I challenge y'all to unfollow 3 negative accounts on your social media today. I like that. Ranielle said we need to bring realness back. Sometimes you got to feel shame and be wrong. I like that. I saw somebody else earlier. Chrissy said, I just said this, be mindful who you follow online. Ranielle said it's like the environment is your guide and your support, and it will affect how you see things and what you care about. Crystal, I see you said what you consume and the people you interact with can influence your mental state. 100%. Michelle said we mimic what we see or hear. Yes. And LaVon said negative distractions. It is very much negative distractions. But some of us have to realize the more I am not accountable in front of my children and my significant other, the more respect I lose from them. And you can say on a surface level, you don't care or you don't give a fuck. But truth be told, who wants to spend a good part of their life raising children that grow up and look at them without any respect or don't respect them in a lot of key areas? Somebody else was going to say something.
Christina that mentioned I'm following 3 people. I was going to initially touch on that. So lately I've been unfollowing like people who I consider friends or just people who I had on social media for a long time, just based on the fact that I'm in a faithful relationship. And a lot of people post like that shit, if I'm being clear, or just like things where they just out about, just doing them, not really caring for a relationship. And it's like, I don't need to see this in a space where I am in my life. So things like that is like you can guide your environment to make it supportive to what you want.
Yep.
I just want to walk off of that because I was going to say about environment, it's really important to create a space where you can keep the things that you want to do for you. For example, I have like the way my room is set up, it's not set up in a place in a way where I can sit down and like, let's say, you know, journal or let's say go through my calendar.
Right.
And the places that I do have it, it's very noisy. So if you don't create that environment, that space, give that the things that you want, the space in your life to actually be and allow itself to be, then sometimes it will also affect your mental health and like just not having that space, period. It's almost like the book club where we have this space where we can say certain things or be certain places. If you don't have a space in your actual environment, your room, your car, your whatever it is.
So sometimes sometimes because like Omo, I love what you're saying. Sometimes it's you sitting down and rearranging your personal space. Sometimes it's you rearranging your life in regards to the people you interact with. Sometimes for a lot of people, you have to be honest with yourself that the city or town I grew up in is toxic, it's negative, it's not good for the growth of me and my children. Some of y'all got family that it's a bunch of drama, it's negativity, it's all kind of things that are not reflective of the lifestyle that you want for you and your children. So you need to build different resources, get up and move away from there. Some of y'all, it may be that I don't got to move away. I need to stand firm on my boundaries.
I've been recently doing that, stand firm.
It comes down to working on you and working on something, setting a goal instead of a desire and working on that. When you working on something, magically, you just not in everybody's business. Magically, you don't care what people is saying about you. Magically, a lot of things start to happen for you when you just put your head down, thumbs up, and start working on you, on a goal. It don't matter. But you grow, and the things that's not for you will surely fall off your tree. Ain't that how that work? But y'all don't be growing. So y'all looking for acceptance from other motherfuckers that is also not growing. That's how that's working. That's why that's working. A vicious cycle of stupidity.
I'm on my boundaries and noticing that a lot of people that aren't on my caliber are starting to like distance themselves And like you said, start putting on that black dress and let it be known.
Yeah, I'm gonna start mourning you.
And guys, remember, you don't gotta cut nobody off and be all mean and be nasty with it. All you gotta do is grow and make sure you not running, because you heard us say, get rid of 3 negative. Make sure your version of negativity is not positivity, because a lot of y'all, what y'all deem negative, because y'all haven't addressed y'all adverse childhood experiences yet. So it's negative because you haven't addressed it, but that's the answer. Say, similar to my podcast, similar to my show. You come in here, and because it matched things you went through in your childhood that you never addressed, you did not heal from, I'm negative. I'm the op. No, no, no. No. You got to go lay on somebody's couch. Remember, it starts with you. You got to build you.
I'm gonna start mourning you. But you got to be mindful of, let me say it like this. Same thing I said about our children, right? You can raise children and you can chastise them and get on them and make rules for them and then discipline them or have them face consequences when they don't follow those rules. But then you struggle as an adult in those same children's presence to follow rules and make rules and create standards for yourself. They see that. And so by the time they get older or become your age, they don't respect you in a lot of ways. And then it's the same for family members and friends and people that you cut off. Some of y'all cut people off for certain stuff, and then you didn't stick to the changes that you said you were going to make, and you like a damn fool, right? Because the same stuff you told them was the reason you stopped fucking with them for, you back into that same shit. And this is where you really have to hold yourself accountable.
And like you said, I did also, when getting rid of those people, put in new habits or better habits so that we won't reel back into that old habits and going back to the old people and the negative stuff again.
Yes. Yeah. It has to be out with the old, in with the new.
That's what happened with me and my kids. You know, alcohol is a contributing factor to every death in my family thus far, you know, due to alcohol. So I'm telling my kids not to drink, but here I am drinking. So when I stop drinking, now my kids don't have an alcohol problem.
Yeah.
So they go.
Yeah.
Because you stop.
Yeah.
You know?
100%. You gotta, it's that whole old school saying you gotta practice what you preach. And the idea is be the example, but be the example to yourself first. Meaning I have to make sure I'm positive and happy and in a good mental space for myself first. And then I'm able to raise my children to be that to themselves, because that's when you're really rearing a good product. Most of us, like, we were raised and we started out raising our children from a space of, I'm going to teach this little person how to tolerate or how to mold themselves to coexist with me. And so I can tolerate them. I can accept them. I can raise them. But as they go out into the world, it's hard for other people to interact and deal with them. This is when.
Absolutely. That's when you get those boys that be like, well, my mama, I trust my mama. That's all I got. She set it up that way. My guy.
Y'all have heard me on lives talk about people that have bad kids. Everybody from a positive space want to say, you know, kids ain't bad. Some of them just got some. No, some of y'all children are fucking bad. And when I'm saying bad, what I mean is it's on you. It's not on the child. So the child is innocent in this. You have raised them to where you're able to put up with them. You're able to tolerate them. You're able to accept them. They have a skill at knowing how to maneuver with you. But if you try to get somebody to watch them, when you leave them in school, when they have to interact with others, when it's time for them to go out into the world, they are fucking menace.
Absolutely. Like when it's time for them to enter the dating pool, you know, all of those weak men that y'all be talking about, that the bald head roaches be talking about. I mean, where did they come from? You know, while the mothers is across the streets with their hands in their pocket talking about, I ain't raised him like that. We know that you did. You did raise him like that. And you the only one that could tolerate. And that's why y'all should send him right back to his mama. I don't know why my good sisters with sins always get caught up with the mama boy, with the son husband. Send his ass right back to his mama, yo. That's who raised him.
By the age of 5, when you're raising children, they're supposed to be socially acceptable to the extent of being able to interact with other little humans their age and in their peer category, and then also follow rules. And the reason why this is important is because as you go through life, even when you're 60-something years old, there are laws, rules, statutes, regulations in place that you have to follow. So starting from a baby age, you need to understand the concept of there are boundaries here, there's no's here, there's stuff you can't do, there are things you got to understand, there's stuff that's not going to be fair.
And we see it all of the time when we do those body cam videos, right? They so disgruntled to the officers and to anybody else, but they want to call their mama. Let me call my mama. Let me call my mama. The only person that know him. The only person that know him, that truly know him, because she programmed them like that. They can't work with nobody outside of her. Because I'm your mother.
Do y'all understand what I'm saying?
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Yes, Lord.
As children get older, as they get in the teenage age and their brain starts to develop in all areas, and they get to a point where they start thinking for themselves, a lot of parents end up in a space where the kids don't respect them.
And that's where that power struggle come in there when they're teenagers.
Yep.
And it's a spiritual thing. It's a spiritual thing. This is straight biblical, because as a man, you grow to an age where you're not supposed to be under no woman. No woman. Virgin Mary did not do things for Jesus. She sent people to Jesus. She said, I don't know. Ask him. She wasn't all up on him. She wasn't ruling on him. It wasn't her way or the highway with him. Know what I'm talking about? So at some point, my guy, we know, like, oh, it's time for me to enact discipline. It's time for me to be truthful. It's time for me to cut this cancer off.
That's where I'm at now, love, with my oldest son. Christy just had a Zoom for us last night that I found really helpful. And I was telling them about this. Like, my older son, I feel like, for me as a parent, like, I had my kids at a very young age. I was 14 years old when I got pregnant with my oldest son. So I was like a kid having a kid, right? And then when my mom raised me, I was just looking at, okay, I know the stuff that she should have done better with me, so I'm going to change that. But I feel like I took it to the extreme. And now I have that struggle with him. And now that he's about to be 17 years old, it's like, we had a real conversation where he told me, like, I could tell you and Dad, like, y'all didn't plan for this. This just happened. Y'all really didn't know what y'all was doing.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Like, having to deal with that.
Yes. But you have to be, this is my thing. You have to be comfortable admitting that. Insight 24 says no good habit will stick if you're not taking care of yourself. Part of taking care of yourself is being honest. This is a part of mental health, right? There is that emotional, mental, spiritual, and physical part of taking care of yourself. A mental part is honesty with self. Remember, I be saying the biggest lies is the ones you tell your fucking self. Fuck what somebody else lying to you about. So when you wake up and you start out with a lie to yourself, for example, I know what I'm doing. I'm doing a good job. I got this figured out. These kids better listen to me. I know what's best for them. You know, it's about what I think, what I want. I'm going to get us there, right? And this is not true based on
Oh, I do you one better. I've been doing it this way. People really be saying that, like, well, this is how I've been doing it, knowing that they haven't been getting no results, or they haven't been getting what they want out of doing it that way. But they will tell themselves, nah, this is how my mama do it, or this is how so-and-so do it, or this is how I've been doing it. Nasty work.
The information that you hold, the traumas that you haven't seen about, that you start out, you wake up with this lie to yourself, right? Then you have to keep up a certain attitude to front this lie to the children. And then they have to carry this to a certain extent, right? out into their community and they school and act like y'all got more going on than what y'all do, or your mama is doing better than what she really is.
And that's what I'll be telling y'all about the people that jump in my comment section because they have a one-track perspective and I triggered them. So now they jump in my comment section and make it a personal attack on me now. Didn't personally attack them because I don't know them, right? As a content creator, y'all my peoples, y'all my folks, but I don't know y'all. Y'all really don't know me. Y'all know more about me than I know about y'all, but you know what I'm talking about, right? And in the event, they make it about them because they haven't addressed them childhood experiences that you know where they get them from, right? Childhood experiences. So they got issues with their parents, with their brothers, with their sisters. They don't got issues with me, but they won't address it with them because they got to play let's pretend that my family, my moms did some extra drink when we all know as a community, we all raised off the same information. We all raised off the same information. If we as individuals do not go and rig the system of this information that we got, because the information you got, I got. I don't use the information you got that I got, though. I'll use some whole other shit. But if we don't go get some other information, guys, we're going to keep repeating. We're going to be the same. We're going to have the same story. Yo, I wish it was good. It shouldn't be like this. Oh, it's a damn shame. And you know the shit we saying right now in 2025. Like, you know what I mean? And we all have a stake in the matter. I mean, we could all fix ourselves. And I mean, we can all fix ourselves, but no, we want to look for other people, and it's that person's fault. And you know what I mean? You know what I'm talking about, guys? We got to get our mind right. We got to get that information.
There's people walking around out here that are soulless avatars simply operating on matrix programming. They're living, but they're not alive. And they're all around us. They're all over the place. People that have never woken up to who they truly actually are. They simply are operating on the code that they've been programmed and given since they were born, since they were even in the womb and at gestation. The same code, just running on programming, never exceeding the programming, never reprogramming the programming, never editing it, never hacking themselves, just running on the pure code and living a complete lie, believing that they're alive, but they're not.
You got to hack it, bro. You got to hack it, man. You got to hack it. You got to learn you.
In order to fit in. And, this is when you see kids fighting and defending their mama, when people saying certain things about y'all lifestyle and stuff that's going on, you turn them into little liars. And then eventually it gets to the point where they realize, like, there are things in life that I want as a young adult, stuff about my mind, my thinking, my brain's developing, and my mom doesn't know how to validate that. She doesn't know how to have conversations with me without getting triggered or feeling some type of way. This is when the respect starts to be lost. At first, I was upholding this little code we got as a family or a tribe. But then as a teenager, when I realized, like, wait a minute, she don't exactly know what she's doing, because now I got needs and wants and things about myself. I'm trying to understand my hormones, my own mindset, my own perspective on stuff, and she can't take it. He can't take it. My parents can't take me developing in their presence and not agreeing or thinking the exact way that they do. Then they start to see your lack of emotional management. Kids see all of this. Just a lot of times we're not a safe space for them to speak up about what they see.
Yeah. And I learned that because sometimes my mom wasn't that safe space for me to talk to her about those type of things either.
Yep. That's why I said a lot of us can relate to the statement when I said you get older and you realize I don't respect my parents in a lot of areas. Overall, yes, I love you. I respect you for bringing me in this world. But then when we start talking about financial literacy, we start talking about mental health and how to take care of yourself, we start talking about things other than what you taught me about working a job and paying bills. It ain't nothing you gave me to respect. And when I look at your life, you didn't respect yourself enough in these areas to go educate, get information, tell yourself the truth when you wake up that you don't know what you're doing with money, that you don't have it figured out, that you fucked and was not disciplined with your sex, right? Where you had more of us than what you could actually take care of. These are things that, like, it is difficult for our parents to just admit.
Exactly. They will never admit it. So if you one of them kids waiting for an apology, just knock it off, bro. They not gonna apologize. They in a delusion. They will never admit that they messed up. They didn't have the answer, Sway.
And some of us, that shit carried over to us to where we walk around with lies. I see so many of us as young men and women, we pretend as though it was not a poor choice to have a child or be fucking unprotected.
And you know how that look? You know those lies that she talking about? You know how those lies that she talking about look? They look like blaming the white man. You know those folks that run around here in the community just blaming the white man, acting like white supremacy made their mother have unprotected jizzle with their dad and then keep them, you know what I mean? They act like white supremacy made these people do that, bro. Made their mother, but that's to guard that mother cat box right there. That's to guard their mother cat box. And see, this is why I piss them off so bad, because every live stream, my goal is to knock that cat box all the way over, yo, and expose all that bullshit, bro. Because that's when the real growth gonna happen for us as a community, when we start addressing these things that our mother did, so that we don't go out in the real world and punch and bag somebody else who ain't do it for you. They didn't do it to you. They didn't do it to you. And people don't got to see it the way you see life. And as soon as they don't see it the way you see it, you want to punch them. You want to turn them into a punching bag and get your stuff all off, get your emotions all off. Stop that. Stop that. Address the people that you should be addressing. Or leave it alone.
In our teens and have a kid. We pretend like it is not ignorant, right? To sit up and keep having more babies than what you can afford. When somebody go to talking like this, we start acting like they judging us or they doing something to us. Or they saying something that's so bad to where we can't even be grown to the next generation. Even with a lot of men, you see it where you got some men, they're willing to say, you know what? I was out there thugging, drugging, fucking, throwing rocks at the chain gang, worrying about hoes and big booties and pretty women and spending money in the clubs. I was dumb for that. And then you got some men, they ain't willing to say that was some ignorant ass shit, or that was some stupid shit I did, or that was not smart. I was dumb.
That's a fact. You already know. We got dudes that is modern women with PPs. We got those dudes that won't admit. You know what I mean? It's 80% of beta males and it's 80% of Liliths. The gender war is between modern women raised boys and modern women raised girls. That's why it's the way it is. Like we can't continue to want it to be a way when the stats show it is this way. This is the way it is. Let's fix this and let's worry about the gash in the community instead of the paper cuts. You know what I mean?
For that. There are a lot of us that we had babies outside of wedlock, getting no help, and we're single mothering, and we don't want to admit to the younger generation or even to ourselves, because remember, you got to tell yourself the fucking truth. That girl, this wasn't smart. Give a fuck how embarrassed you feel about it or how much you feel like a motherfucker judging you. It was not smart. And you a fool to yourself first by walking around trying to pretend like it was actually smart or that it was not a terrible decision. It was a terrible decision. Terrible. Having babies from men that you don't know. And when I say no, I mean spiritually, mentally, and emotionally aligned. Goals set up. You watch to see his behavior align with wanting to be in a monogamous relationship and be a family man, not getting the commitment before allowing him to have sex with you raw. Terrible decision. Terrible decision.
Yeah, because most of us grew up off.
Somebody said most of us grew up off what?
Most of us grew up off of feelings.
Right.
That's what that's why all our life was built up off of. Yep. That's how we learn how to date. That's how we learn how to pick the perfect job because we felt comfortable.
Yep.
You know, it ain't a hard job. It don't look complicated. Oh man, it's easy. So if you can convince somebody else, they gonna come right over.
Yeah.
Like it's something that you got to go through a process. Ain't nobody signing up for that shit.
Yep.
Like had I known all that stuff, my son wouldn't even be here.
Yep.
My son would be here. But
that's the truth. But Frank, that's the truth that okay, when we try to dress it up, we make it seem like, you know, I'm grateful. Like we know you love your child, right? We know that you love your kids and you are, you know, moving forward from it. But you have to be willing to look at the choices you made and be honest. Like Frank said, that if I could go back and if I could take what I know now and go back, I wouldn't even do this to a child. I wouldn't. Not saying that I wouldn't have kids, but the manner in which I brought them in this world, the person in which I procreated with, the situations in which the stuff I had going on based on my choices, I would have fucking never.
It be them seasons, guys. Understand, we don't have that long-term thinking. They did not harvest that in us. They got that instant gratification running through us, bro. It's nasty. But we be in seasons and we tend to forget that. We're not going to stay in that season. Guys, we be in up seasons, we be in down seasons. Some of us be in more up seasons than others, but we constantly move through seasons in our life. And if you make a permanent decision while you in one season of your life, bro, that'll cost you everything, guys. And we have done that. A lot of us men was in a survival season and we made choices and decisions that borrowed from our future to please our present, bro. And that's modern woman behavior. That can only be done because you were raised by that 73% of feminine energy, bro. When you will borrow from your future to cater to your present, bro.
I'm going.
You got it.
Thank you, Frank. I'm going. The reason why I'm going to speak on that is because, like, I actually say that shit all the time. Like, I tell myself that shit all the time. And I tell my mama, like, when I came to you and asked you to put me on birth control, like, you know, that was my way of reaching out. Like, you telling me as a freshman in college, oh, don't have sex.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
man, yo, we cooking this morning, guys. I'm not gonna continue to cut it, cause I know y'all don't like that. You know what I mean? I try to help y'all too, but you know I gotta react to these things. YouTube got new policies and stuff, but that was real. You heard her? You heard her? You heard the responsibility on that woman? But what I told you, Eve ain't got a chance when you got a mother named Lilith. She gonna pass that forbidden fruit to you. She gonna make you eat it one way or another. Now, this girl says she wanted to be responsible. She wanted to do her God-given task, which was be responsible for childbirth. And her mama blocked that. This is what I mean by female behavior, guys, because the mothers have spent all their future on their present. Now they're borrowing from their kids because they treat the kids like property. So they're borrowing from their kids' future to spend on their present, bro. Then when the kid get up in age and leave the mama and get out there in the real world, the kid ain't got no future, boy. This is what's happening right now. This is why it's a lot of hate. It's just not a lot of love going on. People don't even, people want to do so good because I believe that it's not, I really believe in my heart, guys. I know I'm harsh because I'm going to be brutally honest all the time. But in my heart of heart, guys, I believe there's good people that want to do good, but they just don't know where to start. You want, like, you ever had that you want to get up, but your body just don't match with your spirit. Your spirit want to do so good, but you've been given nothing. You don't know where to start or how to get something. And that's how I really feel. And that frustration leads to stagnation. And we know stagnant people turn to haters, bro. If you're not growing, you staying stagnant. And if you're not growing, then you slowly dying, bro. And people is in survival mode because of that right there. A lot of people walking around with it's like the slaves, bro. You let the slaves free. They coming back to be slaves again, bro, because they don't have nothing. They don't have nothing, no skills, no nothing. No inspiration, no motivation, no teamwork, no nothing. So they coming back like, you know what? They're gonna run around for about 2 months. Like, yeah, yeah. And then they coming right back.
You know what I'm saying?
Makes no sense.
You fucking at my age, so why?
Yep. But that's Renee. I love that you brought it up. That's a perfect example of what I was saying about we end up in a space where certain areas we don't respect our parents. Tell me what sense does it make to tell a young girl going to college, don't have sex? That's your advice. That's your parenting. Don't have sex.
Right.
Now,
when she was busting it wide open, your mama was busting it wide open.
Knowing scientifically, biologically, my species, being a human, this is the age in which your body is at the peak of exploring and understanding and sexuality and all of these things, right? And your parenting plan was don't have sex. You got to be silly as hell to think that this makes sense.
Like, she ain't getting no explanation, no nothing. And I'm coming to you asking you, like, can you put me on birth control? Because I couldn't do.
They don't explain the why because they don't know the why. They don't know why. So you can't expect your parents to explain the why when they don't know it. You get what I mean? And this is why God said, do not forsake your mother's teacher. Now, I mean, don't forsake it. And they full of shit, but don't forsake it. You know what I mean? You still got to love her. But she only had enough to put food on your table and clothes on your back. She didn't have enough time and energy to get to this type of information, the real mental, the psychological information that you're going to need to thrive in 2025. That's all I'm saying. You got to be responsible enough to go get that information yourself. You got to get rid of all them wicked ways. For my biblical folks, y'all know the Cain and Abel story. You sit there and be stingy and cling to that mingy, wicked information and wisdom that she invested to you, and don't throw it in the fire and get mad because you see brothers like myself who, I love my moms. I'm not going to be a fool for her, though. Respectfully, I love her. But I threw all that shit in the fire. I threw every single piece of information that did not serve me in the fire, bro. And got my blessing. Yeah, my fire roared too. God said, yeah, that's what I wanted. That's the sacrifice I wanted. I threw it in there, the fire roared. And now I'm here trying to help my brothers, bro. Don't cane me, though. You don't got to hit me with a rock. You could just sacrifice yourself, guys. Make the sacrifice, guys. Make the sacrifice. Go get that information, bro. Get rid of that. Get rid of that shit, man. And clear some space for some real information, bro. Some new information, bro. I know it feel good to play the character you've been playing, losing, but be a new character, be the opposite of what you are today. If you know how we do over here, man. Let's stop playing, bro. Wait a minute. Whichever color you is, be another color. Pick another color. Pick another color. Be the opposite of what you are today. All right? And win.
Do it myself because, I graduated high school at 17, so I was 17, but I was in college. Mm-hmm. You still wasn't, you were telling me no, like you were my resource, but you told me no, I couldn't.
But it goes back to, and a lot of y'all know this, in our community, and I have a Zoom coming up on this, the relationship between mothers and daughters, especially in our community. But y'all know there's a lot of shame and You're made to feel guilty when you start to develop sexually. It's like a burden to the parent. And I know some of y'all can relate to this, male or female. You started to feel like a burden to your parent once you started to develop feelings and understanding for sex and your sexuality. And so a lot of us snuck and did shit that we have no business doing at that age because you really didn't feel like it was a safe space to go talk to your parent, because when you bring up boys or sex or girls or whatever, they were so uncomfortable with that kind of talk. And you could tell, not because they said, oh, I'm uncomfortable with talking to you like about this. They were uncomfortable because you could tell they knew what was going on, but it was always a mad thing, or you in trouble thing, or sit your grown behind down, girl, or you running around being fast, or what you doing out there with them, bring your ass in the house. It was a very rah, it bothered them.
Yeah, like my mama told me, like, when I first came told her I had a cut, she was like, I don't want to hear about that. I don't want to talk to you about this. Like, what about the lady?
Right. And I'm sure a lot of y'all, when you think back as a grown woman, you look back and you like, you know, the type of talk I want to have with my daughter or my children, I couldn't dare because I felt like I was a burden.
Mm-hmm.
This is where it goes back to having resources for your kids, because sometimes we might not be the safe space for our kids to be able to come and talk to us openly about things. I actually have two friends who have 16-year-old daughters, both in 11th grade, and they both think their daughters are virgins. They're both not. So my god baby, I actually had her go to the health department herself to get on birth control. Because
And that's crazy because I get a lot of women, they in my community tab, they just be jumping in there talking about how great of a single mom they is and how their kid is this and their kid is that, and only if they knew. Only if they knew. But what she said is brilliant, because the resources, keep resources. Stop stripping the resources from y'all babies. The seed need more than just the sun to grow, ma'am. Ma'am, you know we need rain. We need a little bit of wind. We need the right soil. We need a couple of resources. We need the village. We need the village. Stop taking away resources from your babies so that you can stand on the top of the hill with the single mother flag. What do you get for holding the single mother? I did it all by myself. What do you get for that other than an emotionally disturbed child that's going to cling to you and follow you through life until you die? And then when you die, they don't even do nothing. They're done. They just sit around with your picture and soap and sob because you done created the life. You created their life. You done stole their future and made it all about you. Now they just unproductive citizens, or they just so sad and so sensitive and just come on, y'all got to stop stripping resources. A lot of y'all kids grow up, and by the time they 17, don't nobody even want to mess with them because of you. Because of you. That's another way y'all be stripping resources from the kids. Because your attitude's so nasty, nobody even want to mess with them. Especially on his father's side. Nobody on the father's side, nope. That boy could need $1 and nobody would give it to him because of you. And they ain't wrong. They is not wrong, man. You ain't gonna shame them the way you carried on when that baby was 8 and 9 years old. No, people don't forget. And people don't gotta forget when the kid gets 17, because the things you put in that kid, the little wicked, mingy things you put in that kid at 5 stays in him when he's 15. This why it's you. Yeah, you raised him like that. Yeah, he make his own decisions off of you, off of the stuff you provided for him.
Because you can do that under the age of 18. It's illegal to deny birth control, and you can't discuss it with the parent if it's sexually related. But even my 10-year-old daughter has recently told me, like, she'll talk openly to me, but she just recently told me, like, oh, well, Ma, I kind of don't want to tell you this because I think I might get in trouble. So she's even learning what she's telling me and her reactions, or the reactions I give her to the things that she tells me. And even with my friends' children who have confided in me, there's like a fine balance between, okay, at what point do I need to go and tell their mothers who are actually my friends, but it's going to break the trust and you're not going to be able to get the information.
So now let me say this, Sierra, because this is where we go wrong as parents, right? We go wrong because we don't realize as our kids shift in these stages of development, we must shift in how we parent. So now I want y'all to just think about this, right? Men and women, think about this. The way that we start out parenting our children, having to be the protector, the provider, the person that is rearing them from a space of you don't know what to do, so I have to guide you and show you, right? When they start developing into the middle school and, high school age, where they are now developing their own mind to use, we're supposed to shift from what looks like the judge and the police officer over them that makes the rules and sets the consequences when they break the rules to somebody that now I'm helping you make your own rules. And we don't do that. We don't make that shift. And so what happens is now I'm a teenager. I'm 14, 15 up to 17, right? And I don't want to go tell the judge or the police, which is you, my mama or my daddy, right? You're that particular figure to me based on how you've been, my whole upbringing. I don't want to go tell the judge or the police officer the crime I committed. This is literally how it is. Nobody wants to walk up and say, okay, there's the officer that normally locks me up when I do stuff wrong, and then I have to go tell the officer I did something wrong. The concept is you don't tell the fucking, police or the judge that, yes, I'm guilty. You don't do that. And so if you don't.
And what's crazy is this is how they carry on in your relationship. This is how they carry on in your relationship with the sneaking and the creeping instead of just coming right out with it. You see how the passive aggressive behavior is created? You see, this is the same. Now, we talking about the mother and child dynamic, but this template can be placed into these relationships, these modern day relationships, where it's just no communication, it's just fear. You know what I mean? It's everybody's scared to set boundaries and tell the other person their standards. And just pay attention, guys. This is the stuff you got to work on. This is the stuff you got to work on. Cut back on that television and really focus on you. Cut back on that social media and really focus on you.
Take that shift along with your children, you will still be labeled by them mentally as the police officer or the judge. You the one going to arrest me, meaning reprimand me for breaking your rules. And then you the judge that's going to set the consequence or the sentence if I break your rules. I don't want to tell you shit. When it comes down to being honest about stuff like sex or mistakes I made, if you shift realistically into a space where you are willing to say out loud, my child is now setting their own rules. And I know it sounds weird to y'all that was raised by Black parents. Set their own rules. What the hell is she talking about? No. Your child, when they start to develop their own perception, their own perspective, their own mind, their own thoughts, you have to sit down with them and make them set their own standards for themselves. And then you shift into a authority figure that is just helping them be true to their own rules, their own, standards that they set for themselves, agreements they made with and for themselves. Do y'all understand what I'm saying?
Yes. I think that's what I like.
That was a slow ass yes. That was a slow ass yes. But that's what it come down to, yo. These kids, you got to set point systems. I call it the point system. You show them a point system. You show them that if they do A plus B, they're going to get C. And that kids like that because they're going to do A, then B, so that they can get C. But make sure you have C for them, though. This is why you also should be working on you and always got to keep it moving forward. Because kids need things. Kids like things. Kids beg for things. They are broke best friends. And yelling at them and telling them put that back, that's not going to get them to do A plus B.
get lost at because, like, me transitioning into adulthood, like my late teens, early 20s, I would find myself asking a lot of times, like, with me and my friends' parents, like, I know they done went through this thing, or like having credit, need to get an apartment, just different things that you realize throughout adulthood, like why they didn't prepare us. Yep. And I think that's what the respect was lost at, because I know for a fact you went through this phase. I know you was confused. I know you had to learn something. Why didn't you sit down and tell me, hey, look, this will be like this. This you need to know, because you've been through it. And it's just like, I can't even look at you the same, because why didn't you prepare me? And it's because they couldn't accept where they went wrong and just say, like, hey, like you said, I fucked up, but this is where I fucked up at, and you could just avoid it by doing X, Y, Z. You know?
Right.
What age does it start where they can make their own decisions?
So obviously, some kids develop faster than others, but just to be clear, when you're watching your child grow, as they become more and more opinionated and you catch them doing things where it was like, Mom, well, I thought I should do that, or you'll see it. If you're a parent that's paying attention, you will see the shift from your babies asking you before they do anything to just trying to do shit themselves. And that's when you start. And for some kids, it starts as early as 8, 9, and 10, where they are deciding for themselves certain shit, down to like, well, I wanted to eat that, or Mom, I felt like I wanted to do this. This is when you start to shift your parenting style to where you help them make rules for themselves. And then when you're disciplining them because they broke rules that they agreed to follow. It's no longer just, I'm making the rules that even if you don't like them, I'm going to still hold you accountable for following them. No, we taking a shift. Now, obviously, safety-wise, there will be certain things that as a child, no, you don't have a say in. But
Facts. And that's how you sneak that in there. Because you made the rules, sir. You made the rule, man. So you shouldn't be breaking the rule that you made. You see how that works? And then you hold them accountable and you teach them accountability. Because we all get choices and decisions in real life. And we all got to learn how to be accountable for those choices and decisions in real life. So if you practice this from young, people will grow up into their adulthood and be okay with being wrong, with understanding that they don't know everything, with asking for help, like stuff like that will happen more. And then as a community, that little fairy tale that we hope and wish it would be, we will get close to that. We will get real close to that.
there needs to be certain things, if you're going to develop that relationship where you want your child to come to you and feel comfortable, there needs to be things where you sat down with them and you let them decide. You let them make the rules.
And you feel it too. My daughter, she 8. She's already like that. So if I try to decide for her, she will tell me, Mommy, I'm a big girl. I'm almost a preteen. And that starts, I didn't even know she knew preteen started at 9 years.
Yep.
She was like, I'm almost a preteen, Mommy. I know what I'm doing. I know how to handle myself. I don't need you deciding everything for me.
Yes.
Like, all right.
And you need to give, you need to give her that. Even down to, some of y'all got the teens, or you remember when you were that age where, sex started to come up. Because the idea is you can tell your child whatever you want, right? Tell your kid whatever you want about sex, right? A good majority of their peers are out here discussing, looking at, being exposed to sex. So if you don't open the door for them to understand that this is a thing, it is a part of human behavior, it's going to go on around you, you will see it. Let's talk about what you want for yourself and what mommy and daddy want for you in regards to being responsible with this kind of stuff. Telling them what comes along with it, because a lot of us, we got told on the surface level, don't go out there and get pregnant. All right, your ass gonna catch something. And that's the most we got told. But there is so much more. Whatever age they're getting exposed.
And that right there is why women be blaming the man. Women be really blaming the man, acting like men can give themselves unprotected fish hole. Right there, because of the shame that they mother going. Like, you see, it's always the save face thing with these women. They try to save face, and they can't be accountable alone. The only time they are willing to take some bit of accountability is if they can have somebody be accountable with them. But accountability is a personal thing. and everybody is accountable, personally accountable for unprotected, but they're more so accountable because they got to end up with the package. But you see, they're incentivized. They had these kids for means of survival. You see, so it's guys, just protect yourself. Learn. Remember, you can educate your way out of any circumstance. You just gotta apply and be committed. Apply yourself and be committed.
Now, whatever age they getting exposed, somebody put that in the chat. Yep. Whatever age they fucking getting exposed.
They get exposed. Yep.
It is very young.
It ain't no, I want y'all to really hear me. There is no, let me look in the textbook or Google what's the age to start talking. Whatever the fuck kind of environment you got those children in, whatever kind of environment you have those children in, determines when you're going to talk to them about that stuff. So some people's children aren't being exposed to that. Some of y'all kids, they done already seen ass, they done already seen sex, they done already seen porn. Maybe they have not done it themselves, but the type of house you run, right? How much you're on top of, what they're looking at, what they're not, whether there's older siblings, whether you drop them off at your sister's house with their cousins, them, they are.
Nah, Ebon Thomas, you gotta watch more of The Righteous Fair. Eve was more accountable than anybody. Eve was more accountable than Adam. Remember, Eve ain't throw Adam under the bus. Adam threw Eve under the bus. But what you talking about is Lilith. You talking about Lilith. Lilith was not accountable. She dipped, she ran, she never came back until Eve was created. Then she came back. But that's who you talking about. But stick around though. Stick around. Make sure you subscribe and hit that like button because we talk big. We talk big talk. Real stuff over here.
I already know about it.
Yeah.
And so you can sit up and talk about, oh, I'm gonna wait till they're this age. You need to tell them kids nah, because they already seen it nah.
I love that I have an open space for my kids, though, because that was something because I couldn't do it with my mom. I made it a goal that I was going to do it with my kids. So, like, my daughter, she comes in and she talks to me about boys. And then my sons, they're open with talking to me about, like, you know, having crush and stuff at school. But, like, YouTube, it's another thing, too, because your kids will be on the kids channel and there'll be stuff that they be talking about. Like, you really got to pay attention to what these people is.
Yes.
Because it exposed like my son be asking questions. Like he come in.
Yes.
I had to explain to him how the hell I got pregnant from his identity. Like, and he's only 8. Just because he watched something on YouTube.
But if you understand what I'm saying, you let him on YouTube. And so this is not some, oh, my son is asking about this. You let him on that app. Right. And so this is where accountability comes in, because I'm going to tell y'all something. Some of the stuff we do as adults is we sit back and we say, like, damn, why is he asking about that? A girl? These kids so grown nowadays. Your children are what you reared them to be, what environment you have them in, what you expose them to. Even for a lot of y'all, if you sit back and be honest, right? We have all these conversations about, for example, baby daddies and not want my baby daddy to bring my kids around a bunch of different women and things like that. But then if we're honest, be honest, right? Truth to yourself. How many different niggas your kids done seen, right? And I'm not saying that they seen them running in and out of your house, but them children know that you have been with a handful, if not more, of men trying to date or find somebody. So rather you think you expose them to them or not, or you got your view, when you're not honest with yourself, you always sugarcoat your shit and make everybody else's shit be coated in salt. So it's easy.
That's a fact. When y'all be sitting there mad at me because I said something that triggered you and you be cursing me out and typing on your phones, typing them nasty comments, your kids be watching you. Your kids be sensing that energy. Yeah, your kids watched you. They sense that energy. They know what you're doing. They know you're a demon. They know you're a whole demon.
Look at a baby daddy or a paternal grandmother and say, I'm just trying to see who y'all got around your kids. But then you be in situations with fucked up people around your kids. Mm-hmm. You're just not going to admit that to yourself or the kids. And then guess what? Just like a lot of us, when we grown now, a lot of y'all can articulate, my mama had me around some bullshit people. I might ain't get molested. I might ain't get beat, but I saw some bullshit. Like she had some bullshit going on. Go ahead.
I was being, back in the 60s, I was being looked at by grown men. Then I wasn't even 12 yet. I was developing I was developing breasts and everything. So my mother spoke to me about sex in a predator mindset. Why the things that I had to look out for.
Yes.
And I wasn't told, that we didn't talk about the good side of sex.
No. When we talking about accountability, look what you said. Ebon Thomas, look what you said. Just like Eve, she had to blame everybody for her choice in listening to the serpent. That's not true. She did not blame everybody, bro. She didn't blame everybody. So I can't allow you to go off and think that, because then you're going to make choices and decisions off of wrong information. Eve was accountable. Eve was naive. She was tricked by the serpent. The serpent was Lilith. Lilith is the modern woman. Eve is not the modern woman. You got to go back and get the whole story. You do it for yourself. Read it for yourself. First, look up Lilith. Then look up why we have two creation stories in the Bible, and then come back. And then I'll give you another research, and you know what I mean? And then you'll learn so that you can make better choices and decisions, because you probably running into nice women and you pegging them as modern women. You probably this is probably the one piece of your puzzle that got you from getting results. So make sure you do the research. Make sure you go do the homework today, bro. Learn the story. Go look up the Lilith story, and then go look up Eve. All right? But I can't allow you to continue to think that. He said, no, bro. Eve was told the same thing that Adam was. Lilith had an issue with God and Adam because she thought she was equal with Adam. All right. God punished Adam because he listened to Eve. Yes, that's the story, but where do you get Eve blamed everybody? Eve ain't blamed nobody. Eve didn't blame the snake. Eve didn't blame Adam. Adam blamed Eve. Adam said, the woman you left me with, you know what I mean? Eve said, I ate the apple. Eve is bold. Female nature is bold. Male nature is kind of suckerish. That's a fact. But, you know what I mean? The story, I don't get what you said, Eve, you know what I mean? You ain't wrong, but that part is not right.
Sex and getting birth control. I just watched kids around me, teenagers that were my age, that were getting pregnant by whomever. And that's what made me want to go and get birth control on my own.
But I'm going to tell you. I
couldn't talk to my mother.
Right. And see, I'm going to tell you something, Ms. Marilyn. I knew I couldn't talk to my mother about it. I'm going to tell you what we do in our community. And Frank, I know you know what I'm saying, right? When you have girls or nieces, young females in your family, we spend a lot of time talking about how you dress, right? Girl, cover up, put on some clothes that's too tight, this too short. But grown men will tell you, I don't give a damn if you got on a sweatshirt and some sweatpants, a long dress, or a turtleneck. Men see sexuality through the clothes. So there is a certain responsibility behind how you dress. But if a nigga is in that space of trying to get a woman, Frank, you know damn well me putting on a turtleneck and a long dress is not finna stop a man from lusting if I'm developed, if I got hips, ass, breasts. So some of y'all got daughters, nieces, you got young women in your family that, like Miss Marilyn said, they developing hips, breasts, all this stuff. And instead of having a conversation with them, you steady trying to dress them down. But that ain't stopping no nigga from wanting no ass.
Yep.
No,
you sexy in a car with some limo tint. They can't see you. Damn, she's sexy.
Right.
You can't see it. I just know it.
My sister had the birth faster than me, and I was the oldest. Nobody looked at me, but everybody, all the men that were predators in the family, they looked at her because she had boobs and. But I was the oldest though, but they always looked at her because of her body.
Go ahead, Keisha. You were gonna say something, Gina. I'm gonna let you go after Keisha. I saw Keisha try to speak up.
Okay, it's a couple of things. The first one I will come back to is with me raising
my daughter in the house with my husband, which is her father, and because I didn't grow up with my daddy, so the perspectives are different. Sitting back and letting him lead certain things is kind of, it's not so much a it is kind of like a disconnect a little bit.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, because I feel like me speaking up, like having that conversation with her about boys and this, that, and the third, where he just gun ho, we ain't talking about niggas. It ain't nothing to talk about. And I feel like when you shut it down, it leaves the door open.
Yes. And Keisha, thank you. Let me say thank you for bringing that up, because a lot of us as women are not honest and accountable that when you grow up without a father, I don't know how to have certain conversations, or you even think they're inappropriate. Now, I'm going to say this because me and Frank have talked about stuff like this, right? When you're in a relationship with a man and you have children, like daughters or, young women in the household, right? And this is your partner, a adult, mature man that understands the responsibility behind being in a household with women and making sure that they feel safe. He is not going to have a problem having these conversations with you, with these young women, about how to be safe, about what to understand abuse is, about what to understand when somebody is touching you or looking at you or entertaining you in the wrong way as an older adult, or even just a family member that may be your same age. Now, a lot of us have to be accountable that when you didn't grow up with your dad, you don't know how to initiate these conversations with your boyfriend or your baby daddy or your husband in regards to speaking to the children about this. So like Keisha said, you kind of just don't have the conversation. Go ahead, Keisha, finish the second part of your thought.
Okay, yeah, so sometimes it's a conflict because I just feel like, especially with her just entering high school, it's something that we have to talk about.
Yes.
Again, the exposure of her having older cousins and being around her friends she's not only child, but she has friends that have, of course, older siblings and stuff like that. So I'm not oblivious to what's going on. So I do try to initiate the conversations and have those, we call them safe circles, But I also did create a pact with her cousins, which are like my nieces, that I know my daughter's not gonna feel comfortable with talking to me about everything. Even though I have the door open because that's just a natural instinct. Who wants to talk to their mom about everything right now, right? So she do have numbers of people that a trusted circle of people that she feels comfortable to go have conversations with if and when that time arises.
Right. You absolutely have to have those conversations, because what kind of mother are you to not prepare your child for the stuff that goes on in this world? You just gonna pretend like it don't? You're gonna pretend like high school girls and
they're gonna let them run into the trap because they got that excuse that they done turned into a reason now. Oh, he shouldn't have left it in. It's the man, because everybody running around here blaming it on the man. And like I said, like if the man could give himself unprotected fish hole, and we know that's not true. But they still pregnant. They getting pregnant every day. Still running around here talking about the man. And it's because they lack knowledge. Their mother never told them about nothing. They know nothing. All they know is just how to push accountability, dodge accountability. That's easier than learning the why. They never was taught the why. The mama don't know the why.
And, high school age boys, even middle school age, are not going to be presented with the opportunity to have sex, oral sex, regular sex, hell, anal sex, that they're not going to be presented with environments or opportunities or situations where they could put themselves in compromising spots with older people that are closer to adulthood. Like as soon as your child reaches that high school space, right? They 9th grade. So they 14, 15 around people that are as old as 18. There are some people that, depending on when their birthday fall, they're a grown adult attending the same school that your 14 or 15-year-old. You can't tell me that 17, 18-year-old is wrong for having hormones or wanting to have sex or wanting a girlfriend or a boyfriend. That's normal for their age category. It's your job to prepare your child to be able to navigate that. What kind of parent would you be? But now, if you never got this as a safe conversation, if you don't have that space where you've like undid this whole police officer and judge role to your child, you ain't going to get them to open up. Like Sierra said, they're not going to open up no matter how much you demand.
And when I asked my mom this before, she told me, she said, oh, well, nobody, she said, nobody told me, so I shouldn't have to tell you. I'm like, but look at the mistakes you made. And she said, it doesn't matter. If nobody told her, she shouldn't have to tell me.
Right.
What in the... What? Nobody told me, so I shouldn't have to wow. Wow. That, man, see? That, what a way to say I don't know. For that, you just should have said, I don't know. Let's go find out together. Jeez.
Okay.
Right.
And take that, and now I tell my little sister so that she don't go through the same thing. It's clearly her mindset. If nobody told me, you should just figure it out.
Yeah, and that's a part of generational curses. That's a part of us like carrying over the fact that your mom feel like that. That's nuts. But that's a generational curse because I'm pretty sure her mom didn't give her any real talk.
And then, love, too, what you said about them being around these, like, older kids. Like, my daughter came back and told me, like, her first week of school, like, it's like the older kids, they prey on them freshmen, too, because it was a gay, like, they were gay. And the girls kept trying to, like, basically told, like, all her friends, like, hey, I'm trying to put you on. She like you. And so my daughter kept saying, me and my friend kept saying, we don't like girls. Like, we don't like girls. And they just kept coming, bothering them. Mm-hmm. So, like, you got to make them aware because it's older kids that's at the school that, like, looking at them as prey, too, because they're new and fresh.
Of course. Of course.
That's so true.
But teaching... Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Oh, no, I was going to piggyback off what Renee said. That's so true. I remember I started high school 9th grade, I was 14, and my very first day of high school, the senior, he told me he wanted to eat my pussy.
Wow, yo, this was going on in high school. So they teach them how to hate men in college. They teach them how to hate men in school and lick fish hole. This is why the women come up out of school all different, right? They got a degree on their wall and they just can't stand man. They can't stand man. Just is this what's going on? Yeah. Nah, no wonder my child said, nah, we going to trade. I want trade school. I don't want to go. I don't want no campus. She said, and mind you, they ain't talking about the men being grapists. They talking about women on women grape. Women on women grape. Boy, you can't make this stuff up, boy. But I'm the op.
I wasn't having sex. Mm-hmm. I didn't it made me feel so uncomfortable. I did not want to go back to school.
Now I want you to pause in that. I want you to pause in that thought, right? You were how old?
I was 14.
Okay. You were 14, the senior was 17 or 18. The first thing society does is says, oh, that young man is nasty, or he ain't right, or why is he messing? She too young and all of this. But now think about what y'all just said as the younger person, right? Y'all mamas ain't talking to y'all about sex. Do you think that there's some father in his life sitting him down and saying, hey, son?
But no, hey, love, I can't let you do that, love. No. I love you like cooked food, love. No, it went over your head, love, and you normally catch everything. No, the 17-year-old is a woman, because you got to remember the stats show that 72, don't quote me, but it's in the 70s, of males lost their V to an older woman. So no, love, this is not a man. A man, no. Hold on, let's play this back real quick though, love, because you normally be on point. I think you missed something right here.
Sure, her mom didn't give her any real talk.
And then, love, too, what you said about them being around these, like, older kids. Like, my daughter came back and told me, like, her first week of school, like, it's like the older kids, they prey on them freshmen, too, because it was a gay, like, they were gay. And the girls kept trying to, like...
All right, you heard it, right? The girls, they were J. The girls, all right. So, love, don't do that, love.
Basically told, like, all her friends, like, hey, I'm trying to put you on. She like you. And so my daughter kept saying, me and my friend kept saying, we don't like girls. Like, we don't like girls. And they just kept coming, bothering them.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, you got to make them aware because it's older kids that's at the school that's, like, looking at them as prey, too. Because they're new and fresh.
Of course. Of course.
That's so true.
But teaching... Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Oh, no, I was going to piggyback off what Renee said. That's so true. I remember...
All right, so now this is another girl saying she's going to piggyback off what the other girl was saying, and the other girl just said that it was girls, 17-year-old girls.
I started high school 9th grade. I was 14, and my very first day of high school, the senior, he told me he wanted to eat my pussy.
You saw the senior, she told me she wanted to... You heard that, right? I'm not bugging. I'm not tripping. The senior, that's what she said. So, love, how did you get the man? How did you get a dude out of that, love?
As prey, too, because they're new and fresh.
Of course. Of course.
That's so true.
But teaching... Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Oh, no, I was going to piggyback off what Renee said. That's so true. I remember I started high school 9th grade. I was 14, and my very first day of high school, the senior, he told me he wanted to eat my pussy. I wasn't having sex.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't it made me feel so uncomfortable. I did not want to go back to school.
Now I want you to pause in that. I want you to pause in that thought, right? You were how old?
I was 14.
Okay. You were 14, the senior was 17 or 18. The first thing society does is says, oh, that young man is nasty or he ain't right.
Yeah, the first thing society does is say that young man, but she's talking about a 17-year-old senior woman, girl senior. She ain't say nothing about a dude, yo. She said her whole way through. So, love, you kind of fell into that narrative that society be painting.
Or why is he messing? She too young and all of this. But now think about what y'all just said as the younger person, right? Y'all mamas ain't talking to y'all about sex. Do you think that there's some father in his life sitting him down and saying, hey, son, now girls under this age is off limits for you. I'm going to tell you why. Let me explain to you what the law say. Let me tell you how. No. On the top end, boys and the older children ain't getting it neither. So at his age, it's not absurd for him to say or think things like that. It's absurd how far down in age he's going with that from an outside perspective. But a lot of these kids on neither end is getting spoken to from a space of educating them. Do y'all understand where I'm going with this?
Yes. Yes.
And it's not, I want you to understand, because the way we tell it is like, here is what I went through. Ain't no go through. The same way, like you probably haven't talked to your child for them to even be prepared for something like that to happen, is the same way that the boy who said it to them, right, wasn't talked to or prepared to go into an environment with younger girls and not say that to a younger girl because it's inappropriate. Ain't no, you went through shit. This is a bunch of things happening, and it makes sense why it's happening. It's a lack of a safe space at home. Parents not being honest with their children.
And they praise boys for that. They praise boys for that. They say it's when boys. Oh, go ahead.
Boys ain't doing. This is the thing. Boys not. What I'm trying to get y'all to understand. Boys are not doing anything wrong. This is what's wrong in our community. We hear this stuff and immediately you want to talk about it. And everybody want to now tell it. Yep, my cousin went through that. Girl, I went through that. You ain't go through shit. This is normal. Teenagers are going to fuck, want to suck, want to lick, explore their bodies, their hormones changing, they getting their periods, their dicks getting hard, they having wet dreams, they waking up with hards on. Things that we're not, this ain't nobody going through nothing.
Yeah, my dad.
But when you weren't educated, you will believe that this is some sort of sexual trauma or all this. What it is ignorance is going on. All of the things that's physically happening to them, the stuff they send out of their mouth is regular. What's missing is lack of education in the home, not at school, in the home and with the family on what is socially appropriate when you start to develop an understanding for your sexuality. In the home on what is and when is the appropriate time and place to say and do these things. That's what's missing. They ain't doing nothing fucking wrong.
A lot of times when we be in relationships, especially if the kids don't belong to the man, or if you have like an uncle or somebody staying with you, some type of man that respect the kids or whatnot, they see things before you see it and they try to bring it to it, and that shit turn into an argument.
Yes.
Therefore, they'll step back, and then the shit that was gonna happen, it'll happen even faster, because now once the baby pregnant, they get sexualized, they get touched, or anything like that, you ready to go cuss somebody out, cut them, shoot them.
Frank, they can't be honest. Can't be honest. I see it all the time. There's a step parent, because you know the stereotype is, watch your kids, the stepdaddy, or molest them, or watch you. Sometimes the stepdaddy telling your motherfucking ass that the way that you parenting is causing those children to act out and be a certain way, and they can see things coming because they view the situation with you and your children differently than what you view. And they trying to tell your ass, your daughter gonna end up getting pregnant. The way you're not putting your foot down with certain stuff, or the way you're not talking to her about this, or you don't see how she moving with this. Your son fucking some little girl finna come say you a grandma. Now I'm telling you now, and we don't want to hear it.
Yeah, it's a bad look.
Ask this before we get too far off. Renee said earlier about her child watching YouTube, and how the video could start off as a children's story and then turn into something inappropriate. If your children have had permission to do that, and then you learn, hey, this was going on YouTube, let me stop that. What does the conversation look like to say, I know I allowed this in the past, but we're not doing it now? Like it
looks direct.
But I'm saying you had a live before where you was like, if you fucking somebody wrong, and then you try to say, okay, well, let's use condom. You can't turn around like that. You should have started out with it.
Yes, absolutely. So it needs to be where a lot of y'all will create a terrible relationship with your child if you try to take the device cold turkey. So you need to start with some restrictions or limitations. A lot of things that you find online, it comes from the more time you spend, eventually you start seeing certain shit that is getting weird, right? Stay on the internet long enough, certain stuff is coming up. So a start would be limiting the time frame in which they're allowed to spend on there, and then also making them intentional, meaning you could have them even make a list of the things that, okay, here is your 2 hours or your hour of being on the internet, and tell me what sites or what pages you want to go on, and I only want to see you on those. So this is allowing me to let you set rules for yourself, because I ain't saying you can only go on these pages. Tell me what pages you want to go on, right? So I can make sure on my end as a parent, I stay on top of what these pages are posting, right? Or tell me what TikTok accounts you follow, and here's your time frame to be on it, and after that you're going to get off of it. But I'm also going to have a conversation about why. But now let me tell you this. This is where the adult accountability comes in. And when we was reading Insight 24, and it says no good habit will stick if you're not taking care of yourself, right? If as a parent, you always ripping and running. If as a parent, you always on the internet for hours and hours. It could be spread out in increments of 20 or 30 minutes, but you a good part of your day is on there. If you as a parent is not organized and stable with your time and taking care of yourself, or you always stressed out or into some crazy ass relationship or going through it with somebody, guess what? You're not going to stick to that good habit of limiting your child on that. It will eventually go back to what it was. And if you're in front of them not being responsible with your device, meaning for me to tell my children limit their time on there, but they see me on my phone nonstop looking on Instagram and Facebook and TikTok, this shit is not going to uphold. Go ahead. Somebody was going to say something.
I wanted to speak on what y'all was talking about a minute ago about the kids, being a step parent and the kids doing what they're doing, and the other parent don't, understand what you seeing in a child. Like, I'm a witness to that. I've seen my stepdaughter, she was touching on my biological daughter, and I've told it to her mama and said it over and over. And one day I walked in the room and they was humping. Right. You know what I'm saying? And she like, oh, well, I ain't gonna tell you nothing about telling the kids nothing no more. I ain't gonna, because it was always, oh, you always picking on my.
Yeah, she didn't want you to be right. Mike, she didn't want, go ahead.
I'm always seeing, I'm a corrector every time I see something. I'm on my kids hard. Like, I don't play that, none of that disrespect, nothing, extra or whatever like that. So I'm on them hard. I'm watching y'all, making sure y'all doing what y'all supposed to be doing. So when I see something going on that I don't approve of, hold on, y'all need to correct that. You know what I'm saying? And so when I seen it, you know, I ain't gonna tell you nothing no more. I see where you was going at with it. I trust you now. This. I'm like, man, this something that, you know what I'm saying, we got to get better with that, because if I'm gonna be in your life, this got to get better. Like,
yeah, but I'm gonna tell you something, Mike. A lot of women run good men off with that type of behavior. Yeah. They run good men off with that type of behavior, meaning a man has to genuinely be in a space where he really care, or is in a season in his life where he's willing to like go through that with you, because a good majority of men that know they good men, they finna leave. Bitch, if I'm trying to tell you good, corrective, constructive shit for the household to be ran better, for these kids to be in a healthy environment, for us to be on them in ways where they understand structure, and you don't want to listen, right? I'm out of here. The other part of it is a good majority of women coming from single mother households, or lack of their father, or seeing their father be able to make decisions or have a say-so like you're trying to do. They don't respect that in their boyfriends, their husbands, the person they in a relationship with. So it comes across as controlling or a certain kind of way.
That's a fact, guys. You gotta remember, they sat around and they consumed all of these sitcoms that had the weak dads, you know what I mean, that had the spunky little moms with the one-liners. So she always found the way to put the dad back in his place, and they sat there and sucked that in, all while watching a tyrant of a mother run around that crib. So they don't have no real respect for no man.
When Mike, the stepdaddy, is saying certain stuff about how I let the kids behave. And so now I'm triggered. I'm offended. I don't want to tell him certain stuff because I don't want to be made to look wrong, because I don't like how it feels when I get correction from a man, because I ain't have my daddy in my life when I was growing up. Or the way my household was set up, my mama mostly made the rules or set the standards and things like that. So it's uncomfortable. And you will run off a good man every time. Grown men understand, even from a spiritual space, you cannot protect and provide for what you cannot control. And when I say control, I don't mean from a manipulative, like negative controlling space. But if you're with a woman that you don't have any influence over her or the children, bro, you can't protect them. You can't provide, and you can't lead them.
That's one of them things that make you feel like you, when a man dating a woman like that got kids like that, and they see that in them kids, we care so much. So when we tell a woman, they don't believe us. It's like we got to figure out how to show her, because we need some evidence to prove this. And we go over and beyond to do that shit. We get tired of that shit. That's the shit that pisses nigga off.
Can I just add very quickly?
Go ahead,
I want to give from this perspective. I'm not a mom, but growing up with parents who didn't talk to me about these things or introduce boys to me in a particular way, it was more like Miss Marilyn said, from a predatory angle, like look out for this or look out for that.
Yes.
There was no healthy speaking about it. It will, if you don't talk about it now, it will show up when they're older, because then we won't pick good husbands. There's no way we're going to know how to pick a good wife or a good husband.
That's a fact. And I feel sorry for a lot of you women who y'all parents been bit by a snake. So they got that venom in them. They never go get that venom up out of them, but they put that fear in y'all. Now, y'all ain't got no venom in y'all, but y'all out here looking for men with venom. Because if you pay attention, like, right, what you focus on is what you pay attention to. That's what you spend most of your attention on, what you focusing on, right? Because your parents got you, teaching you that men is predators and stuff. So you out here looking. And because you looking for it, that's what you're going to find. That's exactly what you're going to find.
Actually having the experience of being in a relationship, having a boyfriend, or being able to talk about that boyfriend, even if parent didn't have a good experience, by talking about it and creating that environment that gives me the opportunity to make that you're going to tell children, don't go out until, like, my parents are Nigerian, so it's a little bit of a cultural thing, but they're like, you can't go out, study, do your books, this, that. And when I hit 19, then I was like, well, where's the boy? Where's the husband? Go out there and find them. How am I supposed to interact with them if you told me to go near them? If you told me not to go them? Or when I did like them, I couldn't talk to you about how I felt about liking them because it was weird to you. So now when I'm a grown woman and I feel certain things, or like if I didn't have a boyfriend who knew early on in life when I was like, 18, 19, 21, where he corrected me and I learned how that was.
Yes.
I talked to my mom, I talked to the people. When
Right, and that's because your grandma ain't protect your mama. Your grandma ain't protect your mama, so your mama got all sorts of ACE that then turned into HPD, and she done put it in you now. Now you running around here with the venom in you, looking for negative men. You ain't gonna find no good men when all that's on your mind is a predator. You ain't gonna find no good man, no, ma'am. You're done. And that's that Lilith passing that apple to her daughter Eve.
Grow up to be now 26, 27, 35, for example, and I need that man who corrects me. I'll be able to take it better, even if I didn't have my dad, because I had the experience in the environment where I could talk about these things and learn about these things.
100%. Now, if you look at it on the flip side, I love what you said, Omo, because if you even look at it on the flip side, right? When you go into households and you see young boys that it is now, okay, a stepfather in the home, and he's telling you, hey, man, take the garbage out now. These are things that you as a young man, when your mama tell you to do this, to do that. Now it's a fight over the territory. And Ma, you got this man here, almost like that. That whole storyline in Baby Boy, it turns into a space where there's so much trauma and dramatizing and in feelings where we can't rear these children together. We're so off with our viewpoints on how the children should be raised or what they should be told. And the kids are even seeing this. And so you got men that are more comfortable with a woman guiding and leading and telling them. And this is why I stress so much about what single mother households do to our culture. So many women get triggered instantly when I start talking like this. But in reality, it creates a terrible fucking product, and it does damage to our community, where you have young men that will listen to women over listening to other men, and a woman can't tell you how to be a man. So now you see in relationships, men and women arguing like two chicks, two females. That's how you got boys that were raised for years by nothing but a woman. And so when they become a man, they have the emotional capacity, the emotional maturity of a female, because humans from a child into adulthood, we emulate, we model, we imitate what we see. And so if for all of my 17, 18 years, I interacted with boys out in the streets, but at home, I seen nothing but a woman make life decisions, right? I see a woman solving real life problems. I'm going to go about life like a woman until I go to college and get in a fraternity
And then you add the amount of female energy they're around in school. Remember the school indoctrination too. That's why they got all them in the lower grades, they got all them women.
Play some sports and tie in with a coach or a mentor or somebody outside of that to consistently show up in my life and show me other behaviors. I'm going to mostly behave mentally, I ain't talking about the physical, mentally like a woman. And so what happens is now when we get in the dating pool and we get ready to date, we got men that they go about conflict, resolve, and arguments like a female. And some of y'all have experienced it. You in a relationship with a man, and you're supposed to be the emotional, unstable, female, feminine creature that your hormones have you off, and you go off at times, and you come in with an attitude. Something this supposed to be female behavior, bitch behavior, womanly behavior. You fast forward, you look at the dating pool, niggas acting like this. You come in the house, your man got an attitude. You asking, babe, what's wrong? He nothing. Nothing. He acting like a straight female. Woman, you say something, you get argumentative or catty from a female perspective because it's certain stuff that we do just being women, chicks, right? This nigga start clucking back like a chick. And this is why you see so much more domestic violence and men unable to manage themselves when a woman is mouthing off. So now y'all in there fighting like two chicks because in all reality, he identifies with what you identify as, a bitch. He just don't know it. And I ain't talking about no gay or no trans. I'm talking about a man with the mental or emotional capacity of a woman. And then you got women that this is so the norm to them That if you a man like how Mike described, or like what Frank be talking about, where, okay, I'm finna be quiet when you go to acting crazy and getting disrespectful, because as a man, I know I ain't even supposed to be fighting with you. You get upset or act like I don't care about you because I won't fight with you, because I won't engage in the bullshit. Because you so programmed that a man is supposed to behave the way you seen a lot of these bitch ass niggas behave.
I have yet to meet a nice guy that doesn't have some childhood concerns. And what I mean by childhood issues is usually they grew up in a broken home. Not necessarily broken, but they have some kind of disconnect with their father. At very least, it might have been that they had a very passive father. At the very extreme end, they had a very neglectful or abusive or alcoholic father, something along those lines, which made them over-identify with their mother. And what I mean by over-identifying with your mother is you assume your mother was correct in everything she said. And as a result, they become submissive to women in general. They tend to believe women in every way, shape, or form. And they really seek female approval. They disconnect with the males in their life, particularly their father. And then they seem to think that women essentially are the only people you should care about. Their approval matters more than anything. So they tend to have some kind of fathers and a mother. It doesn't mean anybody with a broken home. It's only when their mother was excessively a victim, when the mother took no accountability. She put her needs first, maybe blocked access, or maybe poisoned his mind against their father. It tends to be the making of a nice guy. What happens then is, because they don't have access to their father, or because they feel like if they speak to their father, their mom's going to be mad at them, they really tiptoe around female approval. They go into the real world thinking that as long as a woman approves of my behavior, that's the only thing I need in life. I need female approval. Male approval doesn't matter.
Right, Linwood, you took the words dead out my mouth. Go ahead, Frank.
That shit is dangerous. For real, I understand that shit on another level. That's why I don't even engage in that shit. I say some slick shit like, "Hey, keep on. I'm gonna go beat your dad up." I gotta find a way to deal with it, because I don't feel like leaving right now. Sometimes they get tired of leaving.
Right.
He's just like, come on, just chill out, you know. But if you ain't shit out, all of you don't know what the fuck is. Yeah, that shit right there get old.
100%.
And as a female, Dorsey, it became, when I was dating a dude like that, I said, oh, hell no, he act like a female.
Yep.
And because I did have a dad in my home, it started to make me nervous that he would do something to me. Like,
he will. Chrissy, he will. I gave you the statistics on, even for women, especially black women that's pregnant, the number one reason, right? The high percentage reason of deaths in pregnant black women is being killed by their baby daddy or a lover while they're pregnant. That's the number one killer in pregnant black women. It ain't some medical like condition or complications with the pregnancy. It's niggas offing your ass. They will do something to you. It is imperative. It is important that fathers and men get back involved with the upbringing of fucking boys and young male children. And for me, so when I hear women disagree with what I'm saying, it's like y'all got to be nuts to think that our culture is supposed to continue on with women raising men. This is not natural. And this is why you're seeing so much bullshit. This is why it's so easy for the governmental program.
And you'll say that, love, and they'll sit there and they'll, amen, your sister, amen, you, because the men, and amen, and then go have a baby and alienate the father. And then run right to social media talking because kids need their fathers, but be the ones that's dead alienating the father for a child support check, bro. Because that's all they know. Is to repeat the cycle, the vicious cycle of stupidity, love. Trust me, they sitting there, they're amen you to death, amen, and then go and do the exact same shit you just said. It's nasty.
Programs that broke down black families to continue this on because we're continuing it on. We're defending independent shit where a woman is stuck with children. We're mind fucking ourselves to believe that
Jesus do save, but we need these women to close their legs, and we need these women to get educated, and we need mothers to start to teach these girls. We need mothers to sit down, realize that their hour has come. Because yes, Jesus do save, but Jesus is in heaven. Down here on earth, Down here on earth, this is what we need to happen. All right? We need that to happen.
Let's say that grandma grew up and had a lot of trauma. She had some very difficult things that everybody knows about, and they have compassion and sympathy and empathy for grandma. But she didn't get help and she didn't heal up. So she's become a very fearful person, which makes her a very controlling person, which makes her a very religious person. And so now she's constantly speaking fear over everyone and everything. And it's out of love, but it's out of unhealed hurt and trauma. And let's say grandma's religious, so she's always quoting Bible verses, and she's weaponizing the Bible to be in control of the family. And everyone knows grandma's not very healthy, but we let her set the system because we feel bad for grandma. Love grandma, but grandma needs to get some help. And unless grandma's healthy, what you're allowing is the least healthy person to determine the culture of the family. It will continue in your children and grandchildren, and you will take a broken family member and you'll turn it into a generational curse. Because your children will think, if you don't correct it, that this is normal in how we do family.
A child support payment is consequence enough for a man if he don't want to take care of the kids. And we believe that we're doing a good job by raising these children by ourselves. And the boys are growing up with the emotional and mental capacity of a fucking woman. And the females are growing up hard and masculine and tough and unnurturing and not being able to be feminine because they have to fucking coexist in relationships with, like Chrissy said, a nigga that'll slap the shit out of you like he a woman.
Okay. Like the random coming in because you mad, slamming doors and shit. That shit used to make my anxiety high. I'm like, you good? I just had a bad fucking day. What? Coming in the house, slamming the door like I did. It just gave me anxiety. I said, oh, I can't do this.
But even me and Frank have had conversations about, as a young boy growing up, there being a lack of influence from your father. So him having to figure it out on his own on how to manage himself. Because there are times where you want to slap the shit out of a bitch. But if you don't have that other side to where it's like, okay, no, this is, as a man, this ain't what I'm supposed to be doing. This ain't what, and depending on your influence, you got some environments that will encourage you to do so. Even just arguing. I know y'all know some people that in a relationship, they don't physically fight, but bitch, they be going back and forth, just arguing like two females. And some of y'all dudes, you have dated women that they believe that you're supposed to sit up and just go back and forth with them. All the time, just back and forth. Go ahead, Shantae.
I'm gonna speak for myself. I used to be in a space where I was doing all that arguing back and forth when I was younger. And the dudes that I was dating when I was younger, they was on that same frequency. They was arguing back and forth. They was It got physical and everything. Like it was very, 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 very toxic. But fast forward to today, my dude now, if I get upset, he'd be like, "Shantae, calm down."
Neo, don't worry. I never take down any of my lives, bro. I don't take down any of my lives. So when it finish, it'll go to the channel and it'll be in the live section. Yeah, I don't do that. I don't take down my lives. I put fresh content in my subscriptions. I don't use I don't use these lives, free lives for membership. So don't worry about it, bro. You got it.
Yeah, because the energy and the spirit of a man, the presence of a grown man that's in his, what I could say, for lack of a better phrase right now, his masculinity or his leadership or his understanding that I am not what these feminine creatures are. I am not that. Like, this is regardless of what your sexual preference is, to understand in the presence of a woman, I'm still a man. Linwood and I have had conversations about this. Your preference on who you have sex with can be whatever it is. It still don't change what you are. And so if you take even Linwood and another female, the idea is I don't want to stand up here if I'm Linwood and argue with this woman like I'm a woman. Like, I got my preference, but I'm not no bitch. Like, I'm not finna sit up and cackle back and forth with you as if I'm a woman as well. And we're equal, because the idea is gay or straight. The minute you put your hands on that woman, your ass going to jail, Linwood, like you Frank or anybody else.
Yep, exactly.
I could attest to that though. Like,
you fucking right.
This guy that I've been dealing with for like the last 9-10 months, like, he's so in his masculine and emotionally
mature. One day I was like really, really upset. So he called me and he talking to me. And I was kind of, giving off a little attitude or whatever. But he was so calm about it. And just, he was like, I'm going to ask you again. He was like, how you doing? And he was just so calm. I didn't do nothing but talk to him calmly.
Right.
Even though I was upset and I got out everything that I got out, but I got it out calmly. And he was just so understanding, and it made me feel good because I was like, damn, I was ready to be, cussing and fussing, and I ain't even have to do all that.
Yep. But that's that dynamic. Go ahead.
Yeah, I respect that so much.
It's that dynamic. Now, just to bring what I'm saying full circle, how many of y'all as women have experienced dating a man that behaved in these ways that I'm talking about? And when you got to the root of it, his mom was one of his biggest supporters.
Child. Straight up.
Bingo, I done told y'all, men didn't drop from the sky. Predators, abusers, God didn't create those men. They mama did. Behind every hell of a son, there's a hell of a mother. And that's inadvertently or advertently. It doesn't matter, but she did it. So y'all love to talk about the creation and what was created, but then y'all have no smoke for the creator because y'all shared the fish hole. Y'all all have fish holes, so you can't hold another fish hole accountable. So y'all stuck with just blaming the creation.
Yeah, was his number one.
Daddy was nowhere around.
Yup. I know about this.
It's crazy that you said it because I swear, like, when you go through that, you end up dealing with everything that he'll treat you.
But also don't stop there. She's his biggest supporter because half of that bullshit he got from who? And this is why when you hear me talk about this is why when you hear me talk about the subject of single mothering, whenever it's presented, people immediately think about themselves as a single mother. What they don't think about is the many of men they've dealt with that was raised by a single mother that developed the ways of a woman from being mostly influenced by their mother. And then they end up in a space where when you go to try to sort through and be in a relationship with a man like that, you end up having the mama in on your relationship. And a lot of times she's not willing to be honest about the wicked ways of her son. I've seen many of mothers, right, that they baby mama, and they don't care to even admit that what their son doing to you is wrong, even though they could say, I wouldn't want a man to do that to me. But they still won't validate that your feelings and what you're going through with your babies, that you had with her son, she's never going to admit that her son is wrong. And they deem this some sort of loyalty.
It's the sisterhood for you. That's the sister. That's the biggest problem that I have with the sisterhood. Like, y'all don't see that? Or I'll give you one better, love. How can they take this information as bash, but still be raising boys who's going to go out there and it's nothing but single mothers for their boys too to deal with. It's nothing but single mothers for their boys. So how can you be so adamant and make everything about you when you have kids? When you have kids, your hour has passed. You got to go sit the fuck down, man. And you got to be about your kids. But these women, they make everything about them, and they so self-centered and they so self-prideful. They make it about them. They can't even see how this information can be used to really teach their son and break that generational curse. But no, it's about them, love. It's about them. It gotta be about they still trying to scratch that fish hole. they ain't got time to worry about their kids, man. They gotta scratch that fish hole, love.
Because instead, I realized that in my relationship, I was like, oh yeah, this nigga got mafia issues because I see where he get it from, and ain't no daddy D here, so yeah, that's where it is.
But we're defending as a culture in large groups single parenting.
Exactly.
So it's like when somebody bring up you and your kids, like, no, single mother households ain't that bad. But when somebody bring up that nigga that you had them kids with, and we talk about what kind of product he is coming from a single mother household, now you got a bunch of opinions about.
Yeah, now everybody want to talk and amen. Preach.
This single mother shit. And yeah, I seen his mama condoning his bullshit, and his mama knew that he was fucking with another girl while I was pregnant. And his mama knew because the girl was coming over her house, and his mama know that I was going through certain stuff and he wasn't there, and they knew my baby was sick and they didn't even bring no medicine or no clothes. And we got all this stuff to say when it come down to how a nigga that's a product of a single mother household is doing us. But as a culture, we need to nip this shit in the bud altogether. The shit is not healthy for the babies, for us as women trying to date these men, for men trying to date us as women that have had no experience with a masculine figure or a man telling us what to do or helping in our upbringing or influencing us.
I'm glad my kid's mother, she was not like that. She absolutely was not like that. If she felt like he was doing some fuck shit towards me, she spoke up on that shit. And she would talk to me about, because we was younger when we had them kids, and it wasn't all fucked up. It wasn't always bad in the relationship. But she seen him doing some shit that she didn't like, that she wouldn't put up with. She was on his head about that shit. And she always told me, that's my son, but I'm a woman first.
Okay. And so now listen.
Absolutely love her.
So now listen. Sounds noble, right? But who raised them?
Just for the same.
And see how the other lady was sitting there like, yeah, because she got identified from that perspective and that perspective only. She was unable to identify from the panoramic perspective that we as goodbreds and use our critical thinking, because we know it's multiple perspectives, right? But she jumped on that girl perspective because that's the perspective she can share, and Love Dorsey dashed that. Like, that's wrong. So now you gonna team up with her, and she wrong though. She wrong. That's not noble. Cause I'm a lady first, but you raised this boy, you raised this demon. It's nasty, yo. It's nauseating, bro. But remember, guys, we as individuals, us kings, us goodbreds, and us sisters with sense, we responsible for getting to the new information so we can get up out of it, so we can spin up out of this vicious cycle of stupidity.
And her husband.
Okay.
His father had passed away when he was young.
Okay, they raised him.
Grow up in it.
Right, but they raised them. Listen to what I want you to understand what I'm saying. When I speak on this stuff, I'm not saying that every single two-parent household develops a perfect product. The statistics show that the majority, the higher percentage of fucked up individuals in prisons and throughout life come from single-parent households. So I will say this about parenting overall. Regardless, you are responsible for the type of product that you create. Our culture loves to believe that, you can do everything right and raise them right, and they will still go out in the world and do some crazy shit. Not true. There is a small percentage of people that is their story.
Absolutely, yo. We cooking, guys. Make sure y'all hit that like button. Y'all know where the premium content come from. It's no place like the righteous fear, guys. Click your heels together. No place like the righteous fear.
The majority, that's not y'all fucking story. That child got fucked up ways from fucked up shit he's seen that y'all not willing to admit was fucked up. Yeah. Think about what I said damn near an hour ago in this Zoom. There is stuff as adults to our children we're not willing to admit was not appropriate or not okay for them to see.
Yeah.
There are certain things that our children are experiencing that a lot of times as adults, we don't care about their experience. We don't sit down with our 7, 8, 9, 10-year-old kid and say, hey, do you like living here? Do you like how mommy treats you? We ain't asking these fucking questions. So when they get grown and we see them making undisciplined decisions repeatedly and not following the things that we say we reared them on, you got to ask yourself, was I really doing what the fuck I thought I was doing? How many of y'all come from a household, watch this, watch how real it get in this moment. How many of y'all come from a household that if I ask y'all mama right now, she gonna say everything was all good, but you gonna say that shit was fucked up?
Absolutely. But will cap and jump on my post talking crazy as if they know some information, as if they mama taught them some information that my mama didn't teach me that I know don't work. It's shit crazy and it's nauseating. Matter of fact, I was in a check cashing place the other day and this lady was talking about her moms to another lady, and she was talking about how her moms was getting on her nerves and her moms be acting wild, phony, and she was going in. But let me have had a show, and she stopped by my thumbnail and heard me talking about hell of a mothers. She would have went and argued and fight and been getting all combative with me. Why y'all do that? Why y'all guard y'all mama cat litter so bad? And be losing too. Like we see, you know how we know you losing? Because your results. Like you could front, you could pretend, you could act like however you want to act, but our results in life, the results that we get from life, how we living is a reflection of our choices and decisions thus far.
How many, but just take a second before you ask me that. There's a lot of y'all that if I talk to y'all mama, y'all grandma, whoever raised y'all, they gonna say they did the best they could. Your ass should be grateful they did one. And you gonna say, man, she was a narcissist. Man, I love her, but man.
We should be grateful because they enjoyed unprotected, you know what? They enjoyed that. That's them. We ain't asked them to do that. And we owe them because they enjoyed and brought us into this for survival, for their means of survival. They knew how America treat black kids. They knew how America treat black men and black women. And they knew how poverty treats you too. But they thought it was a great idea to bring you right on into poverty, guys, right? And then you owe them something for bringing you into get the fuck out of here.
And she used to do us wrong, but man, she didn't teach me this, so man, she wanted a safe space for me to talk about her, man. I had to get out as soon as she found out I was having sex, or I had to, so miss me with all that shit by, oh, he had his mama and his dad. If a motherfucker out here living and really in their habitual behavior, doing fucked up shit to their own kids, their own family that they chose to create, there is trauma there. Give a damn because they mama telling you, girl, you wrong. You did some shit as a mother, or y'all had some shit going on. People don't just end up fucked up. And if you didn't do it, you allowed the environment to expose them to that. Some parents know I didn't show my child this, but the neighborhood we lived in, because I was broke and poor when I had them, they seen all kind of bullshit. Some of them, no, I had my kids in the church. They grew up. We went to church every Sunday. I made sure they went to school. I got them through high school. But the area that you lived in, the shit going on at the fucking inner city po-ass school, you had them at, showed them all kind of fuck shit. So guess what?
Exactly. That's still your choice. That's still your choice because you bring a kid in the world and then you strip all of the resources. Ain't nobody asked you to turn public assistance into a lifetime come up for yourself. So now when you do that, you know, y'all restricted to the neighborhoods you got to live in. You know what I mean? You're restricted. So now they got to put you in the zip code where there's weirdos and there's all sorts of influences. That's your choice. That's still your choice, Mom. You know what I mean? So these kids make choices and decisions based off of the adverse childhood experience. And part of the experience is where they live, where they come home and stick the key in the door. That's still your choice. Remember, your body, your choice. That's power.
What? They on fuck shit.
Yeah. Facts. Yeah. Total denial. I used to have trauma with men moms. Even if she said my son is this, my son is that, I used to be like, how the fuck he get like that? You telling me all, that's why I never believed her and I continued to date her. I married her son because to me, you telling me that your son is a bad person I couldn't trust her because how the hell did he get that way? And why are you just so openly telling me this? You don't know me.
But Chrissy,
So,
as you become,
she created the product.
as you become grown, and we talk about this all the time, as you become grown, you realize like there is perspectives of the same situation that differ vastly. You talk to children and talk to parents, their experience is very different. So fuck y'all when you walk around saying, he got a good mama, and people hide shit very well. Kids go through stuff that even some of y'all, your parents won't even apologize to you right now if you ask them to for something that you went through under their care that hurt you. You know how many adults are in therapy because from their perspective, my parents fucked me up? And if you ask the parents, I ain't did nothing to that damn boy. We fed him and we clothed him and his motherfucking ass is just ungrateful. Y'all are some ungrateful motherfuckers. Right. You alive, ain't you? I fed you, didn't I? Oh, every motherfucking pair of shoes, and I got you through school, and you around here like, but motherfucker, I got molested, I got fucking touched on by the babysitter. My brother had us in here. We was running the train on people at fucking 15. Like, it was all kind of shit going on. And you gonna overlook all my trauma and just maintain, I did the best I could.
Yeah.
The fuck?
And it's so bad that even their kids, like in my comments, their kids are saying it now. Our parents did the best they could. They tried. I'm like, that's getting so played out. I wish y'all stopped saying that shit.
Very much.
We get it. But y'all so conditioned that they conditioned y'all that I know for a fact my parents had information that they chose not to give me.
Yep.
They chose not to give it to me because she felt like it wasn't her duty. I took you in.
I'm going to tell you, Chrissy, I'm going to tell you on what you're bringing up. In our community, I'll give you one specifically on finances. A lot of y'all had people in y'all family that had good credit and knew about what it takes to maintain credit and financial literacy. They didn't want to tell y'all because they scared you're going to ask them for something.
Didn't say shit.
And so they purposely didn't tell you because they didn't want to have to be a resource.
Thanks.
My mom had her own business, and I remember being at her shop, but she never like broke things down and taught me, this, that, and the third, the ins and outs, and I, just didn't know. I knew she was a hustler and a go-getter. She, we didn't want for shit, and she had money, but as far as learning the ins and outs of business, I never knew nothing about it.
Yeah, my mama was the same way too, love, and she still do it till this day. Like, my sister is 26 years old. My sister stay with her, and so she always like to say, "Malika don't like to pay bills," but she said the same thing about us. And I tell her like, "Mama, you ain't taught us how to do that. Like, I pay my bills because I don't want to come there with you." Like,
yeah, I did a live earlier when I was doing my Zoom on credit, and I was live on Facebook for a little bit, and I was talking about trade lines and putting your children on your accounts, or paying somebody to put your child on their account if they got a long-standing good credit history as an authorized user. Immediately in the comments on Facebook is people, no, don't put your kids on nothing because I co-signed for my daughter on a car loan, and when I looked up, she had done made all the payments late and it messed my credit up. Now, a trade line ain't got nothing to do with a car loan. No. But this particular lady felt the need to type. And then from there, you just seen a bunch of other people just coming on there. Yeah, girl, because I put this in such and such name and they fuck this. Don't listen to her. They on the live now while I'm live teaching in the Zoom about credit. Why not to look out for your kids and put them as an authorized user? The whole time the shit they talking about ain't got shit to do with an authorized user. Just ignorance, fear, ignorance, and a selfishness. This is why when you look at our community, people compare us to other cultures and they talk about how we're not united. They talk about how we're unwilling to build wealth together, and there is a out for self mentality even when it comes to the parents to the children. And this is why a lot of Black people, they adopt this whole I did the best I could, because that's their way of negating or not having to accept responsibility for their role in you turning out not a good product.
I said earlier, Dorsey, I literally said this. Somebody asked me, why was it important that I help my kids get resources? I said, because when I became an adult in the world, like when my parents, like the check went out as a foster child, and I made that phone call to the system, and they said to me, once they adopted you, they told us they were going to do that, send you to college, make sure you're good.
Right.
I said, so what the fuck am I supposed to do? She said, unfortunately, Once they adopted you, you lost all the resources.
Yeah.
And that, I said, so I'm just a little ass kid out here.
Yep.
I ain't even been parented. I literally felt like I was not parented. That's how I felt in that moment.
But if we were, now watch this. If we were to talk to the people that raised Chrissy, I'm pretty sure they're going to defend themselves and say that they did a good job. And also watch this. They not going to give a fuck that her experience was different than theirs. You become a real parent, mother or father, when you can accept that my perspective is not the only one, and it's not the only one that actually matters. It's not the only one that I'm supposed to consider. Even at 10, 11, 12 years old, your child and what they're experiencing with you as their parent, it matters. We condition and we program these children to just take on our view, our emotions, our energy towards how we are as a parent. When they get older and they're able to develop more of their own mind, half the time they disagree with a lot of shit we did, just like we with our parents. And we're so busy being the police officer and the judge over them until they get to 18, we never develop a real relationship with them. That's the real reason why a lot of y'all got the fuck on when you got old enough. And you don't care to go back and spend long periods of time with your mom or your dad, or let them move in with you or you move in with them. You don't care to have that. When you hear people talking about having a family estate and all the family living on the same property and different houses within that, some of y'all like, hell no, I'll never do that with my family. And it's because of the experience. Why do you think there's books like Adult Daughters of Narcissistic Mothers or Adult Children of Emotionally Immature Parents?
Mm-hmm.
Somebody read Insight 25. We're on 69.
To stay healthy, we have to eat well and keep moving.
Now, I'm going to tell y'all this. With this particular insight, a lot of y'all don't realize that your attitude, your mood, your mental space, meaning for this particular moment, right? How you feel, the energy that's over you is directly tied to your gut health. A lot of y'all don't realize you eat so much sauces and oils and bullshit food, processed food, things that aren't real, snacks, candy, that you don't even have the ability to control your mood, your attitude, your mental space. Some of y'all have moments where you want to be in a good mood. Like, girl, I'm trying to just vibe in this moment, but I just can't. You're not in control of you. There is so much to understand and learn and educate yourself on about our food supply that if you're not making it a priority to look at the labels on what you consume, you're going to be a problem to yourself. And some of y'all children are like this. The attitudes they get with y'all, the snappiness, the fatigue, the feeling some type of way, the easily irritated, it come from all them fucking hot chips and candy and processed sugar and microwave dinners and fucking shit in a can, in a box that you always feeding them, the drive-thrus you keep running them through. Because you're unprepared for life. So y'all always rushing. You're looking for something quick. There's never any real food. You're not spending most of your time when you grocery shopping in the produce area or the fresh meats and things that have to do with like nurturing your health of your gut, your lymphatic system, moving around and being alive, right? You're not doing this. And so you don't realize you nor your offspring have much control over yourselves. A lot of us, we didn't learn to look at the ingredient label until we got grown. I'm talking about good and grown. Like 27, 28, 30, 35, 40. You just not looking at the labels that tell what's in the shit that you putting in your body.
Mm-hmm. I was training a mom today on potty training, Dorsey. And she was like, well, my daughter, she has a hard time pooping. There's something wrong with her stomach. The first thing I asked her was run her diet. By the time she ran that diet down, I said, girl, that's why. She constipated. She ain't pooping but once a week. Her stomach is hurt. I said, you feeding that baby so many carbs, macaroni, cheese every day. She don't eat no meat. I said, does she vegetables?
No, it's just a bunch of starch, which turns into sugar. And then the kids crash. When you take, like, I see people make a meal, it'll be some fried chicken, mashed potatoes, and macaroni and cheese. Too much starch, right? And so the kids eat this, they have a sugar spike, and then they crash. And so their moods are going to match this. So when you start saying, y'all get up and clean up, or y'all do this, they easily irritated. You take that as disrespect because they moving slow or whining, crying about what you're trying to make them do, and then it turns into a problem. So you can have all this drama going on every week in your house with this type of shit. You done deem the kids aggravating, or they don't like to listen, or they hard-headed, but you are not feeding your family from a space of health. You're not. Anything in a box or a can that's not like a grain or some nuts, something that can exist outside of refrigeration or survive outside of being frozen once you break it off of whatever plant it grows on, you are putting yourself in a space where you end up consuming bioengineered ingredients like somebody put in there, fucking preservatives, things they put in it for it to be able to last. I've said this so many times. You take a fucking fresh cut green beans, or you take a peach or an apple, and you put it on the counter next to a can of green beans or a can of peaches, or apples in the can. Them apples in the can, them peaches, them green beans in the can can sit there for months, and you can still crack that can open and eat it. That fresh food, an actual apple, banana, fucking peach, some green beans, some lettuce, it got maybe 4-5 days, maybe a week to sit there, and that shit gonna start decaying and breaking down because it was living at one point and now it's dying. That shit in them cans and boxes is not alive. It's not giving you shit. And then you feeding it to your babies, you killing them. And then you tell yourself, I did the best I could. And when they 25, learning that they got diabetes or high blood pressure or gout or some sort of lupus or fucking shit wrong with them, they believe, oh, this is hereditary. This is my grandma had this, my mama had this. That's because all of y'all have been eating the same bullshit food. So of course you're gonna get what they got. You consuming what they consume, fuck their bodies up.
I got called, what they call it? I think I had my birthday party, I did a sushi bar. And some of the people that was invited eating, but there was this one particular guy, he was like, what black person just goes to a damn sushi bar? I said, where else we gonna go? He like, somewhere with ribs. And I said, oh, I don't eat that shit.
I hate that shit.
But it's because their program think that only black people eat a particular food. And I was like, just try it. So he ended up trying it. He was like, oh, it feels refreshing. He said it's kind of different. I said, yeah. And your stomach ain't gonna be hurting and feeling bloated once you leave it.
Yep. When you
make fun of every day at work. Every day. It don't even bother me. But they stand on the fact, you know, that they eat pork and they've been eating it all their life. And I don't even get upset with people. I just sit there.
Ariel, I'm gonna tell you something. A lot of, and Linwood, I think me and you talked about this, a lot of the health problems that some of y'all faced when you got into adulthood, it came from all the shit, bullshit your mama and daddy fed you when you were a child. And this is why we have to start talking about it being more responsible to wait and have children once you've established some sort of financial stability, because eating healthy costs more. We have to start talking about how it's smarter to wait until you're in a 2-parent household with 2 adults that have really deemed that they can get along and bill pay and be stable together before having children, so that the kids can have a chance at eating some real food. Some of y'all, you had to eat whatever your family could come up with because we was poor. We was broke. This is what we could afford. My mama worked so much, she didn't have time to educate herself on certain stuff. This is why it's not smart to keep having babies and trying to raise them by yourself or alone, or keep having more after you know you already not financially stable with the ones you have. Somebody read Insight 26.
Thinking too much might paralyze you, so just start moving.
Yes. Inaction breeds doubt and fear. Action breeds confidence and courage. And you have to get to a space where you realize our culture comes from a fear-based history. A history where they use fear to control us as slaves. They use fear to keep us from stepping out and doing certain things. It was all, master gonna get you. And here we is, X amount of hundreds years later, and it's still, no, I wouldn't do that. But they ain't giving that money away at that bank for free. Or what's the catch to that? I don't know about that. You going in there eating sushi? Or why you cooking your chicken like that? Or you don't eat meat no more? It turns into very much a cycle. Thank you, babe. It turns into very much a cycle of just fear. It's just scary, 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 scary. Nah, the shit that's really killing us and hurting our culture, we ain't scared to do that. The stuff that you should be scared of, meaning doing these things, even though you're familiar with them, it's a sure way to keep your children oppressed and stressed like you were. You ain't scared to do that shit. You ain't scared to repeat the same financially fucked up behavior. You ain't scared to eat. Let's talk about fear. You ain't scared to eat the same foods that your grandma ate, and you know your grandma died of cancer or high blood pressure, heart disease, diabetes. You ain't scared. And if you notice, we ain't scared to get them hog maws and put that hot sauce on it and eat that shit up. Right. We ain't scared to put the white rice next to the macaroni and cheese, next to the fucking cornbread, next to the motherfucking yams, next to the over-seasoned collard greens, the over-seasoned green beans cooked. We ain't scared to do that. But you can see what this same food did to your daddy. You ain't scared of that though. Like we really gotta rewire ourselves. It says, the lesson to be learned here is that sometimes simplicity in taking action without excessive analysis can be the key to success. Don't let fear of the unknown or analysis paralysis hold you back from finding your own version of cheese in life. The idea is, even for people like me, I don't want to be around nobody that every time it's time to move on some shit, your ass is scared to do this, or you want to sit here and analyze the risk we take. Anything in life worth having, it requires you to fucking take some sort of risk. All the shit you comfortable with gonna get you everything you already seen. So if you want something different, you gotta get uncomfortable. You gotta do some shit where there's a chance you might fail, and you gotta be willing to get your ass up and do it again. Somebody, go ahead, Chrissy.
Like entrepreneurship, like you're not scared. You might not make money one day. It's not consistent. I say you ain't scared your boss gonna fire you tomorrow. Mm-hmm. That's the first thing I say to them. Like it's the same. Y'all think it's different because you clocking in, but that job can let you go tomorrow. And then if you ain't got an emergency savings or you ain't prepared, then what you gonna do? Yep. The same fear you think I have. I don't have it because to me it's the same shit with the job.
Yes. 27. Somebody read 27.
Nothing lasts forever, so keep your eyes open for approaching changes.
This is something that it is so difficult for a lot of people to grasp. Change is normal. It's regular. It should be expected. Now, when I say this, it's easy when you think about the day's going to change. The month's going to change. The year's going to change. Now, people allowed to change their mind. People allowed to change how they feel. People allowed to change their perspective. Some situations require you to change yours. Some stuff that you felt like was a wrongdoing or an injustice to you, if you just change your perspective, you will realize it was not. So when you understand this, when you're in relationships, when you're raising children, these individuals will change. And if you guys don't adapt and change certain things intentionally, right? If as a parent, you don't adapt and change certain things, you will be behind with the times and you could end up creating a terrible relationship with your child. 28, somebody read it.
Our fears, but confronting them is easier than we think.
Read it again, Miss Marilyn.
Our fears hold us back, but confronting them is easier than we think.
So I've said this before and I'm going to say it again. If you don't get a grip on the beliefs that have you afraid to get uncomfortable in certain areas, try new things, accept and look for change, like the 27 said, you end up in a space where the ceiling on what you can achieve will be low. We set the ceiling for ourselves. And so when you don't understand this, there is a good chance by the time you have more time behind you than in front of you, and you're really facing your demise, you will have a lot of regrets. The worst feeling, and studies show this, the worst feeling for people that even that are of old age and they're about to die, or they're on their deathbed from some sort of health issue, is looking back at their life and regretting that they didn't do and move on certain shit. And so they're faced with that reality because most people believe this is it, right? And so when they faced with that, you know, when I look back, this is it. And I wasn't satisfied with this. This was my one life, my one shot. And when I look back, I don't feel good about it. You can lie to yourself and say what you want out loud to social media and all of that when you in it. But when it's those moments, anybody ever been in the hospital feeling like, okay, I'm being told there's a good chance I'm gonna die? Anybody ever had a brush with death?
Yep, I have.
And you sit there, Linwood, and you think about it. You start thinking about all the things that you didn't do that you should have did. The stuff you should have said, the things you should have moved on, the advice you should have listened to.
All decisions that I've made and did not made.
Yep. It says, don't let fear hold you back from progress. Once you find the courage to move on, the grip of fear will weaken. I'm going to tell y'all this as well. The more you educate yourself in a certain area, like really put yourself around people that are knowledgeable and doing the things that you want to do, the easier it will be for you to crush your own fears and just move forward. It says, by changing nothing, nothing changes. Action. Overcome your fear. A ship is safe in harbor, but that's not what ships are built for. Insight 29. Somebody read it.
Fixed mindsets hold us back and can make life mediocre.
It says, fixed mindsets hold us back and can make life mediocre. Some of y'all don't even realize in certain areas of your life, you have a fixed mindset. And that is the very reason why you cannot grow or excel in that area. It's a lot of y'all, you don't realize you got so many beliefs programmed into you from the people that raised you or from the environment or the neighborhood, the shit you watch online, that you are unwilling to grow and you don't even know it. It's not because you woke up and said, I am not going to grow in the financial literacy area, or I'm not going to grow in the relationship or communication area, or I'm not going to grow in my spirituality or my religion. I'm not going to grow in the diet and exercise. But because you are so programmed with certain beliefs in these areas, you don't move on change. You don't care to change. You don't look for change. You don't plan on change. You don't write out change. Your goals are not reflective of no real change. Go ahead.
I noticed this. So like my grandmother growing up, I always heard her say, like, oh, the women in our family don't drive. They're afraid of driving, right?
Yep.
So my mom can drive, but she never got her license because she don't like driving. My grandmothers don't. My aunt don't, right? Cool.
They program that belief into her. Go ahead.
But let me tell you, love. And now everything's making sense. So maybe around 2018, right? I was in a relationship with a woman. And I met her in September. And on our first date, she was like, you can't drive. We driving back. And love, I swear. I said, I don't know how to drive. The women in my family don't drive.
Right.
And she asked me, like, did you drive before? But now that she's saying, I'm thinking about it, like, I didn't even give it a chance.
Yes.
I told myself that we don't. And guess what, love? That was September. In December, I had my license.
Yeah,
I'm walking around saying that I can't drive because we don't drive. I'm like, that wasn't me who thought that. They told me that.
Limited beliefs, but it's self-limiting beliefs, right? It's one thing that somebody else believes you can't do something. It's another thing when a generational curse, like what she described, has you believing that you can't do something. And there's a lot of us like that. We won't move certain places based on stuff we heard growing up. We won't try certain foods and things because lack of seeing it or certain beliefs from growing up. We won't talk to certain people or deal in certain areas based on stuff we heard or things that was programmed into us when we were being raised. And when you're unwilling to accept change as a good thing, as it being normal, you will just follow that shit.
That was me with credit. My mom used to be like, don't get no credit. It's bad for you.
Come on.
But you ain't never tell me that you just didn't have no discipline. You just didn't know how to stop maxing out your cards. So she used to cut my cards up. So I grew up never wanting to get a car note.
Yeah.
Never wanted to get credit.
Not understanding the big key to wealth and success is credit. Go ahead, Chrissy.
No, it's just a fear, and I'm glad that I overcame it because it's like all these years I wasted with that belief in me, but I never knew it was a belief until I started educating myself.
Mm-hmm.
Like, why I spend money the moment I get it? I didn't believe I was deserving of it.
Yeah.
Like, it's just those beliefs you have to attack before you could actually start moving on it.
I come from a family where a lot of my family members are scared to get on planes and fly, all kind of stuff. Imagine if I conform to that. You won't even see the world. You won't get out. You won't go places, all because of these beliefs. And there, if you go back far enough, there was some sort of family member that had a reason for starting up this particular mental or psychological rule that it is no longer relevant to you or in your generation. Somebody read 30.
I have a question.
Yes, go ahead, Omar.
What if the belief is like something you told yourself? So for example, with credit or like with financial things, I've always believed that it's boring. So it becomes complicated when I'm learning about it because it really sounds like I'm learning German with like these different, RRSP, GICs, these things that people stocks and bonds, it becomes boring. Is there a way to like make it more interesting or?
So goals and having a plan of action, a purpose is what changes your perspective, right? So starting out, human nature, because the way that we're set up, and I want y'all to really understand it, we're just gonna have a science lesson real quick about our species. The way that humans are set up, similar to lions and a lot of other mammals, is that survival kicks in, right? And so we look for the things to be fearful of so that we can protect ourselves and survive, right? So the idea of being an intellectual or a person that is above the average mind, that is just out here surviving, looking for the stuff that might hurt me and staying away from that, right? When you become an intellectual or you decide, I want more for my life than just the average human, right? You start to set goals. And so what happens is when you set goals, you start to look at not what is hard or boring or, difficult to the mind. You look at what's necessary to accomplish what you say you want. And so as you write your goals out, the idea is I start to become interested in learning what these abbreviations are for the stocks and things like that, based on trying to make a certain amount of money that's tied back to a certain goal that changes or develops a better lifestyle for myself. You're not going to wake up and just shift the belief to being interested in math and financial literacy and things like that. But when you start to look at the shit I want, and it can start down to a shoe, a designer bag, you can look at something and say, you know what? I want to be able to afford to buy myself some Birkins, right? And it's okay, how much do these cost? So now outside of paying my bills, being able to buy bags like that or have a lifestyle like that, I need to bring in this much money. Okay, you know what? My job only pays this, so I need to create multiple streams of income. But now outside of getting paid and I pay my bills in my current job, I don't make enough to really start putting up money to start a whole business on the side. So what else can people utilize in order to start big? Oh, you know what? Credit. So now let me start educating myself on credit and things like that. Now when I'm talking about credit, they're talking about taking the credit funding and investing it into things that earn money. So creating a stock portfolio with an investment banker or buying real estate. And all of this started from me just wanting some fucking Birkin bags. But this shit done turned into me really educating myself, because in order to have a lifestyle where I could wake up and go buy a $20,000, $30,000 purse if I wanted to, requires me to lay the foundational work. And if you a man, this needs to be programmed into you young. At 17, 18, it can be a car. I talk to young boys all the time. What you want, man? I want a Hellcat. I want a Hellcat, all black matte wrap. I want my shit to have these kind of rims. I want to be able to do such and such. Okay, now look up the car and how much the tires cost, because I know you want to do them burnouts and all that. Okay, so Miss Love, the car costs this, and the tires to replace them, it ain't but this. Okay, so now what bills? And you just run them through it and break it down. After a while, they got a whole little plan that they motivated to have, all because they wanted that particular car. And it all ties back to, let me get me a planner. Let me write out me some goals. Let me start getting an understanding of what is necessary to have the type of life I want. A lot of us weren't taught this young. And so by the time we understood this type of shit, we got 2 kids, 3, 4 failed relationships, stretch marks, fucking things about our body we insecure about, certain shit we of age to where we feel like, damn, I'm supposed to have more accomplished. So now I'm not only able to do this stuff, but I'm also having to work against my own mind right? Because my mind fucking with me. Girl, you fat, you got 2 kids, your body ain't like this. Look at them girls online. Look at this going on with this. Look at this with this. And it's the same for young men. You look up, I got 2 different baby mamas. Both of them saying I'm deadbeats. I'm doing the best I can. I don't know, like I want more money. Like this niggas walking around, they my age or some younger got more money. You got these your intrusive negative thoughts talking to you. Now you got to set your environment up to open up that or give life to that second heartbeat to where the positive shit and the resources, the stuff, that voice of I think I can, I know I can, I think I can, I know I can is heavier and louder and outpowers the voice that's telling you what's wrong with you.
Love, what I did to my kids when they were younger, I stole it off the Cosby Show. I repurposed it. And I had my kids tell me how they wanted to live and what kind of car they was going to drive. And I made them research.
Yep.
How much it costs for the rent, where you want to live, see how much it costs. You know, and this was back in the early 2000s, you know, where they, you know, the prices was like $700 for a 2-bedroom, you know, and stuff like that. So I made them choose their careers based upon how they wanted to live.
Yep.
Because you can't
That's exactly what you're supposed to do.
Yeah, and then you say you want this condo, this scat pack, what you got now, and he won't got all this stuff. Who gonna pay for it? Not me, because you're not gonna be under me no more. So you got to make sure you bring that kind of money in, that you have that kind of stuff where you can provide it for yourself. And right now, my kids are successful because of that. They know how much it costs to live.
And Adrian, I'm gonna tell you, because what you're saying is so powerful. A lot of us were never asked what we wanted for our life. We were told what we should do. We were given like recommendations or suggestions, but somebody sitting down giving us an overall view of, okay, this is what you say you want. These are the people you've looked at in life, on TV, wherever, and you know, value, or you take, you know, some sort of attraction to these things. Here is now the resources and the stuff you need to accomplish that. We weren't given that. And this is why a lot of us have a feeling of almost resentment towards our upbringing and how we was raised. Because when you really think about it, a lot of us were delivered into adulthood already behind.
Can I say something?
Yes.
You know what? I can definitely relate to that.
Yeah, and I'm telling this to y'all because I'm validating anybody that has these kind of feelings. That's why with Insight 30, where it says we can change our identities by setting goals. This is exactly what I just explained off of Omo's question. We can change our identities by setting goals. You can reroute and change the direction, the trajectory of your life, your character, your personality, just by writing out and setting out to do certain shit.
I like where it says, go ahead. I'm sorry, Miss Marilyn. Go ahead.
I'm sorry. Some of you saw on my Instagram all the projects that I make, the cakes.
Mm-hmm. Because that is in itself a boundary violation. Being exposed to adult ideas or being made to feel responsible for your parents' feelings. It fucks children up. A lot of us, this is where the fucked up parts of us comes from. We never were given our own mind to develop like okay, here is how I'm going to process this. Here is how I choose to view this. You were just told what to think and what to feel.
Can I share something?
Absolutely.
Oh my God. So many things make sense. So I already shared with the group before how I graduated high school a year and a half late. Not because I was bad in school, but I kept missing my first period to take care of my little sister.
Yep. You were that child that was made to grow up too fast.
It gets better. So we ended up moving upstate because my mom's job started relocating. We moved upstate. At this point, I'm already old enough to date because I graduated a year and a half late. So I started dating somebody, and my mom kept saying like, "Oh, I need you to stay home and watch Madison." So then that turned into I couldn't even date love. So like every time I try to go out, she's like, "Oh, you know I have to go out. If you want to go out, you know I have to work." So I'm like, "Ma, I finished school late." And as I got older, I just had a habit of always put people first. I was a chronic people pleaser. But now that I'm reading this book, it makes sense. I put myself to make sure she went to daycare, graduated late. Then I graduated, and then for 2 years straight, I couldn't date. I couldn't go anywhere.
Yeah, because you was parenting her kid.
I didn't have to be. Now that I think about it, I was 18. I was old enough. But this book just goes back to so many memories because so many people I lost out on because I had to be home babysitting at 8.
And this is why, Tracy, this is why it's important to educate yourself, because sometimes we go through life, and it's going to be a word to a lot of y'all. Sometimes we go through life, and as we trying to find our tribe or figure out what friend groups and what relationships are really for us, we are looking for a physical person in front of us to validate what we feel and what we think about our lives and what has happened to us. When in all reality, if we just educated ourselves like you guys are doing now, read and chase information, you will find all the validity you need in expanding and growing your mind. This is why it's so important, outside of institutions created by the government to feed you whatever information the institution deems valuable. You should be chasing information on your own. You should be seeking awakening and moments of an epiphany or enlightenment through experiences with people that are able to bring you new information, not just agree with you in a trauma bonding conversation. So a lot of times we realize when reading books like this, damn, if I would have been into reading before, I probably would have came across even more material that would have validated I wasn't supposed to be putting my life on hold to try to parent for my parent because they were irresponsible with their sex and laid up and had more children than what they could take care of. They try to make you believe this is some sort of sacrifice you're supposed to make for family, but it's the same family that ain't sacrificed shit to make sure that you were well mentally. It's all about what they believe was the best job they could do. If they're not educating themselves, what your best can be trash if there is so much room for you to be better and your best to be better than what it is right now, and you just don't take it.
My mom told me that. She kept saying, oh, that's what family do. I'm like, but you have a family. I mean, you didn't really leave us anything. Your life's going the way I wanted to look. But she kept saying, oh, that's what family do. That's what family do. And I really, in my mind, this book got me stuck, love.
I'm gonna tell you.
I felt like I had to. I could have left them if I wanted to, but I was just stuck babysitting. Until she was old enough to take care of herself, I was pretty much her parent the entire time. It was just me, her, and my mom.
Right. I'm gonna tell you this, right? Because there is a cleanup that needs to occur in our culture. And one of the biggest things that we don't understand in our community is that when you look at other cultures that thrive in the space of unity, they don't have the history that we have, the trauma that we have with our people, but also the concept that we're missing that a lot of them have outside of the difference in the history is the fact that the older people are aware. They are self-aware. They are aware in regards to how health and balance works, that the family unit that you want somebody to be proud of and pour back into needs to pour into them. And it needs to be more than just survival shit. Meaning I have to get more out of this than just the basic human needs in order for me to want to stay connected to this when I am able to provide my own basic human needs. So the idea is the old folk still need to be able to add value so that the young folk can continue to add value, because otherwise it's just what it'll turn into just what it is now, where everybody talk they can't wait till they turn 18 so they can get the fuck on.
I wouldn't talk that.
But Frank, even outside of being taught that, a lot of the older people don't believe once you get to 18 and they fed and clothed you that long, they believe they've done enough. And so as you going through a good majority of your 20s and into your 30s up to your 40s, it's this idea that you owe them for the shit they did up until 18. So there's never any nurturing or pouring back in. And then in turn, you want to get away from this family unit and go make your own from a space. I don't want to be affiliated with them because it's not fruitful. It's not fulfilling anymore. But when you look at other cultures, you see the grandparents operating from a space of being there for the grandchildren, while the children, right, of the grandkids are pouring into and taking care of the elders as they get old. The elders have built some sort of generational wealth so that it actually benefits the parents. And then in turn, the parents nurture that so that it benefits the grandkids. Like there is a very give and take from the elder to the younger and the younger to the elder. In our community, we have lost sight of this simple concept.
I think that's why the way I am now, it was already like I was already conditioned, like taking care of family and stuff like that. Since I was 14. And being that my mama was taking my money, like I was like, shit, fuck it. Like she gonna take it anyways. So
Yeah.
I ain't really no sense to even want shit.
Right.
So I got conditioned to take care of it.
And then so you set your ceiling low, Frank. Your expectations on what you will have in life is low because it's like, I gotta help my mama, so I ain't gonna be able to do that. And this is what a lot of us as women, when we go out and we attempt to date men coming from a upbringing structured like yours with the whole single mama shit, there is a competition between me trying to be your wife and your mama because she couldn't nurture a relationship to have her own man. You are her man. There is a codependency issue between black men and single black mothers that raised them to where the son and the mother end up having a common purpose or a common agenda, which is to conquer the girlfriend or the wife that's coming into the picture. So you trying to conquer me as the spouse and not conquer from necessarily a bad space all the time. But when you mix your mama in that, it turns into manipulation. I'm being taken advantage of. There is this view of me and your mama competing. It's a lot of fucked up shit that go on. And this is why a lot of men struggle with the idea of real commitment and settling down. They don't see themselves having. The woman that raised me continues to take, and I owe her based on the philosophies in the black community. Well, you got to take care of your mama. You know, that's your mama. You only get one mama. What about your mama's bills? Your mama. Then you add the new age woman, right, to that situation, and she needs, and she wants you to protect and provide and nurture. It becomes where it's like, fuck it. And it's where you get a lot of that hypersexual, irresponsible, like you said, fuck it. I ain't really gonna never get the shit I'm dreaming big for anyway. So I'ma just chill. I'ma just, do what I can, live for family, take care of my kids or whatever, and go from there. And so the ceiling is set low by you, and it comes from upbringing. It comes from what's going on in our culture, all the things that we need to address.
Yeah, but after you learn that shit and then start finding information, like it seems like we going against the grain, but it's not really going against the grain. It's actually finding out the truth of what choices you could have made for yourself, even though you was 18 and you was 21. And then now, I say for me, the hardest part for that is just really fighting the feeling that you got different, you know different, you see different, and now you try to operate different and operate with that feeling to where, you want to say no, but it's like you have to say no to learn or to know different.
An environment, Frank. Yeah, but you gotta get your environment. It starts with, okay, I make the necessary changes within self, but I gotta rearrange what I involve myself in, my environment, the things that I look at, listen to, people I'm around, in order for me to really do better. It goes on to say trauma, stress, and the nervous system. Why can't I relax? And how do I heal from trauma? And I love the part of this chapter where it talks about how does stress make us sick. It says, have you found yourself coughing, sputtering, unable to get out of bed right after a stressful period in your life? Maybe you were working hard, burning the candle at both ends, not sleeping well. You found yourself coming down with the flu. And a lot of people, as you age, you realize like, the shit that be happening to me be tied to these spells in my life where I get sick.
Dorsey, we on page 75, right?
Yeah, 76.
Oh, 76.
Is where I'm reading from. It goes on to say, are you stuck in fear response? And this is a big one because a lot of us don't realize when you're stuck in this constant state of fear and alertness, you don't know the difference between a real threat and a perceived threat. So like an oversensitive fire alarm, right? Your nervous system sounds off at any slight notion of danger, releasing all the stress hormones and triggering that fear response all over again. Traumatized people might overreact to loud noises or be very sensitive to other people's moods. They might never feel relaxed, find it hard to be still or be jumpy and hyper vigilant because their nervous system is stuck in a fear state, ready for something bad to happen. Ready for something bad to happen. And what this means is when you think about the times in your life where you've been in relationships where it brings this kind of shit out of you, you got to understand I am stressing my physical the fuck out. When my physical is stressed, my mental will become stressed.
So Dorsey, I have my youngest son, he's like that. Any loud noise triggers him. it's just like, it just triggers me. So I don't know how to get ahead of it.
Communication. It's communication. You have to start articulating very clearly to him what is happening. So for example, when you see, okay, so when things go on, like even right now, my dogs are barking. Let's say your child was here and he jumped and got scared. The idea is you got to talk him through that. Hey son, come here. Give me your hands. Relax. Look at me. That's just the dogs barking. Everything is okay. It's fine. That's what dogs do. Let's go check on them. Let's see what they got going on. You have to start grounding him. Like in the part of the chapter before this, when it gave the solutions to dealing with anxiety, it talked about ground yourself. It says, do what you can to feel more in control. Name the items in the room. Use your hands to make something. Notice what you can hear and touch around you. Breathe. Tell someone. Right. The idea is to get in a state of acknowledgement of my physical existence and what is actually happening, because this shit occurs in the mind. And this is stuff that when we growing up, our parents busy trying to, outrun the poverty situation that they got in based on their choices and their upbringing, that this shit is not talked about. I love when it spoke on. Oh, go ahead.
I had to deal with a lot of that shit by myself. Like, even as a grown man, I had to deal with that shit, especially myself. Because, like, growing up how I grew up, like, I tell you this. When I was, I said I had to have been, like, maybe 12 or 13. Like, we ain't had no toys or no shit like that. Like, so, my mama used to buy those 3-gallon pickle buckets. But those be like rice or some shit like that. We always shop the same. It's like we always got shit at home. So we had no toys under the play with. So I was playing with the empty bucket under the carporch. And I was beating on it with some sticks up under the carporch. Now, you know, sound carries. So it's hollow up under the, so it's loud.
Right.
Let's go.
So I'm up under the beating on the bucket and everything. And my mama, she opened her back door, like she opened her side door and threw a knife at me. And like that means stop, get your ass from up under the
right.
shit. Like, I experienced different shit like that. Like, even while I was like, I think I was what, 20, 25, 26.
Yeah, it's aggressive. It's unnecessary. It's a overreaction. It is a clear indicator that your mother has stuff going on that was overwhelming her for her to respond that way. And then the idea is, Frank, what it does is it creates a space in you as a man where you don't have a fear for shit like that, and you're supposed to. Meaning, I am not supposed to be okay with knives thrown at me or violence or things like this. But what goes on consistently or repetitiously around you, especially as a child, you develop a space of comfort or behavioral patterns that allow you to cope with that type of behavior. I love when it goes into explaining, when it talks about.
So, love, I got a question before you move on.
Mm-hmm.
I know you gave Christy some feedback on like dealing with a child that's triggered by loud noises, but in a reverse, I'm an adult that's triggered by loud noises.
It's the same thing. You have to ground yourself.
In a situation where my boyfriend and the boys are watching the game and like the loud clapping, screaming, stomping, how
you have to ground yourself. It tells you in this chapter, the idea of dealing with anxiety or that whole PTSD, you have to have things that it brings your mind out of itself and into the present moment. So when it's these Sunday afternoons where it's the game's going to be on and things like that, there is certain stuff that you have to already start prepping yourself for psychologically. The idea is that the loud noises, the clapping, this is all associated with them in celebration or in, disappointment for what's going on with the game. When you read this chapter and you understand what it's explaining about anxiety, it is things going on in the mind. It's not anything actually physically happening to you. That's why the remedy involves grounding yourself. It involves grounding yourself because it's for you to get out of your head and into reality about what is happening. A lot of us, if you stay in situations that make you anxious, right, and you develop a character for this, you will be in a space where you in your head a lot. And so even stuff that's not even a trigger of jumpiness or worryation, you just in your head, just spiraling around, bouncing between thoughts and things like that. And for us as a species, it talked about, on page 79, it says, he noticed that wild animals don't tend to suffer from dysregulated nervous systems in the same way as humans. The reason why is because he realized that the antelope shake to release all the adrenaline and the stress hormones from the shock. After the shaking is over, the stress hormones have been discharged. The antelope simply hops up and dusts itself off and continues like nothing happened. And it was coming off of giving the scenario of, if I'm an antelope and I'm being hunted by a lion or a tiger, or, you know, my life is in danger. After the antelope makes it away to safety, it has this moment where it goes through the physical release of these fucking feelings. So there's this intense shaking. And like it said, when the animal is done with this shaking, that shit is off them. They get up, it's over with. And they move forward. They don't carry it with you. For humans, our body doesn't automatically shake this shit off. So if you're not saying about yourself in between trauma, it's carrying with you. You're not an antelope. It says for humans, it's not that simple. We bury our feelings if they can't be spoken about or expressed because we're so afraid they'll cause us to be rejected, especially if our parents weren't attuned to our feelings or good at regulating themselves. And this is true for a lot of people in our culture.
Can I say something?
Go ahead.
I had read a book called Why Zebras Don't Get Ulcers, and that same scenario that you just gave.
Yep.
It gave the same, like, similar one.
Yep.
A zebra can get his stomach bit by a lion and run away 15 minutes later. They don't think nothing of it. Start getting grabbed.
Yep. They have the way that they are set up is unlike us as humans. And it's important to understand this because it is very animalistic to think you can go through traumatic ass shit and just get up and la 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 la. How everybody be thinking, oh, therapy is cliche and we don't need that. And the therapist can't tell me that sometimes their life be fucked up. And this is about tools. This is about information. Our problem is we go around looking at people the way we think people are looking at us. So when somebody says go to therapy, you start talking about how the therapists themselves, their life might not be put together or they can't tell you how to know. This is about you getting tools to be able to manage yourself, to be a better version of you. It's not about some therapy session or a therapist fixing you or your relationship or telling you how to live your life. It's just about them giving you the scientifically proven information that works to make you better aware of self, more in control and aware of your abilities, right? Empowerment of self, tools to be able to work through, process, look at shit that has happened to you. We ignorant to this type of stuff. It says symptoms of a dysregulated nervous system, difficulty falling asleep or staying asleep, headaches, autoimmune problems, gut and digestive issues, impaired memory, never feeling relaxed, anxiety and panic attacks, chronic fatigue, explosive anger, low self-worth, difficulty self-soothing, skin problems and inflammation, addiction, eating disorders, feeling emotionally numb or disassociated, not being able to be still, chronic pain, catastrophizing, frequently getting ill, hypervigilant, being jumpy and overly sensitive to loud sounds. And when it says not being able to be still, anybody ever sat there and your leg just jumping? Ain't nothing going on, but from shit happening in your mind, that leg hopping up and down like a motherfucker.
My leg was shaking. My dad used to tell me when I was a kid, he's like, what's wrong with you? You nervous or something? But my leg would just go. Like, I would shake my leg and I didn't think nothing was wrong with me. But he's like, what's wrong with you? You nervous? So my mom gave me a nervous pill right before I had to apply for a drug test. I didn't know what the nerve pill was.
Right.
But I failed my drug test because of that nerve pill she gave me. But I wasn't shaking. I wasn't nervous. But she never educated me on, you're just nervous, baby. Your nervous system is just, it's at a 10 right now. She never gave me like breathing techniques or nothing. Just gave me a fucking pill.
But see, back in the day, Chrissy, I know in our culture, when older people, when you got on their nerves, they wanted to drink, bring me my cigarettes. I need something sweet. Y'all done ran my nerves bad. Child, need some coffee. It's always a thing. And that's why in this part of the book, it starts to talk about addiction. And as soon as somebody say addiction, we immediately think some hardcore drugs. But there are a lot of us, we addicted to drama, we addicted to eating, we addicted to a lot of shit that is not productive to our health, our mental health, our physical health. We are killing ourselves slowly through addiction to stuff that we don't acknowledge is something that is a bad addiction. It goes on to say attachment and the nervous system. So it says not all stress. Don't worry, I'm going deeper. I'm just trying to make sure y'all keeping up. Somebody said, yes, I got asked if we had a beef, and I was shocked. I had no idea. I'm telling y'all, it's people that
This year, my mom got me the perfect bag for back to school.
These colorful binders help me stay organized.
These headphones are just what I need for studying.
These new sneakers are just what I need for the new year.
This jacket is a real must-have.
My parents got me the skateboard I wanted. It's pretty cool.
These scissors really come in handy in art class. These colored pencils too.
These new socks, they can be a real lifesaver.
I finally got my own phone to stay in touch with my mom.